I think there may be too many magic items in your group.
They only have 34 magic items.
You gave your party 34 magic items?
The median player has 34 magic items?
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rolling 20s. We are the show that says if you're going to have a show called The Doctors, it better be cast by Doom, Manhattan, Fate, and Bond. I'm Jeremy.
Jesse.
V.
Remember, you can subscribe to this show and several others in the MSP library at missionstarpodcast.com. You can like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes and on Stitcher. Follow us on Twitter at the Rolling 20s. You can send us any fan mail, suggestions for the show, or hate mail at mspfreight@yahoo.com. At the beginning of the show, the music you heard was by Machine Supremacy. You can find most of their discography for free download at machinesupremacy.com, as well as their latest couple of albums on amazon.com. The clip you heard at the beginning of the show was Dungeon Master Support Group by Dungeons & Dragons in their YouTube channel. You can find their other videos on youtube.com. So, how are things going?
All right, I have the internet again.
Yay!
Yeah, V moved locations recently and had a little bit of a municipal problem.
Yeah, TWC can go suck a dick.
Yeah, really. I do have to ask a question, though. Were you completely messed up by the whole daylight spending time thing?
A little. I had to leave at 6 a.m. instead of 5 a.m. from work.
Okay, because I had to ask simply because when you were a little bit late for the recording, I sent you a text just to see if you were awake, and the response I get is, "Fucking Elaine, just be there 5 minutes." That's a direct quote.
Yeah. I was up a little too late.
Yeah, dyslexia, for cure found. How about you, Jesse? How are you doing?
I'm bit excited and disappointed simultaneously. You know.
That sounds like the average sex life. What are you talking about?
Well, you know, as you know, I was there to finish the End of Crow on hard mode on Tuesday.
Uh-huh.
And it's like,
oh, right.
Yeah, and sorry about that.
Yeah, well, it didn't happen anyway. You know, we ended up just running on normal anyhow.
Well, I'm talking about on
Still
Tuesday.
didn't get anything I needed.
Tuesday where you dropped out at the very end. Or kicked out.
Oh, that was, man, that sucked ass.
Yeah, so it's like, cool, we did it. Awesome. We get a banner and a shader. Look at the banner, it's like, okay, whatever. Put on the shader. Oh my god.
Oh, what, the glow who?
It's not glowing on me because the blue is a fucking primary color.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the glow who myself. I went to Long Beach Comic Expo and I had my world turned upside down while I was there.
Really?
Yeah, I was talking to a lady from a comic book company. They don't sell comics, they do other stuff. But because she remembered me from a prior conversation, she asked me about the podcast, and I told her what it was. And she said, "So how does it do?" I said, "Well, you know, a few hundred people per week, unless we get a guest, and it's a few thousand. And if I can get 100 Twitter followers, I can get a comic book writer and an actor to both come on the show." And then she says, "Well, what if I could get you a guest?" Huh? So we started talking back and forth, and she almost tried to introduce me to a comic book artist I was actually working the show. Turns out I just didn't bring my recording equipment because I was the only one there.
Huh.
So we're working at a deal. Maybe she can actually get us some artists and writers to come on the show. On top of which, I get to kind of drop a bomb here on this show.
Oh?
We're going to have a special guest in a couple months. Bill Ratner, the voiceover artist, is going to come on the show. He's probably more well known to several individuals as a cartoon voiceover guy. He's done a few voiceovers for movies and movie trailers as well, but his most infamous role arguably would be that of Flint on the original G.I. Joe cartoon from 1984.
Cool.
I feel old now.
I'm not familiar with like any of those things, but still cool.
Yeah, he's an actual voiceover guy. I'm trying to see if anybody else wants to come on. After I made the deal with Mr. Ratner, all of a sudden a second individual poked up and said, "Hey, I have Skype." So there may be more than one pretty soon, but we'll work that out in the near future here. But yeah, May 3rd, we're going to talk to Bill Ratner.
Sweet.
So all of a sudden, vintage nerds are going crazy. The discussion of this week is Ruby. The video is by Montyoum, who unfortunately passed away not too long ago. We'll get to that later. We don't have any Kickstarters to go over at this time, so we'll just go straight into the video game news. As we all know, about a couple weeks ago, unfortunately, we lost a Vulcan. Leonard Nimoy passed away as a result of complications from COPD and lung cancer.
That's sad.
It was a pretty sad day. A lot of people who played Star Trek Online, probably all 30 of them, frankly, suddenly decided to gather around a fountain in Vulcan. They just put their avatars around it and spent the day reminiscing and just mourning in general.
Yeah.
Well, a week later, and as it turns out, Star Trek Online was not done, or they noticed all these people gathering around, and they decided to put up something different in place of this fountain. Want to see what it was?
I think I've seen this.
Sure.
There you go. This was put up as of a couple days ago in Star Trek Online on Vulcan.
Oh, okay. Now, what I saw.
Yeah, there is now a fountain with Spock's likeness in statue form and some kind of small brazier behind him and a symbol I don't recognize, standing on a pedestal that has emblazoned on it, "Live long and prosper." So there is now a Spock memorial fountain in Star Trek Online.
So
apparently there was a debate as to whether to put this on Vulcan in the game or on New Romulus.
I could see that.
I guess it's just one of those apples and oranges kind of debates for for nerds to have.
Kind of makes me wish I was still playing STO.
Well, they're also talking about putting up a plaque with black flags in the game's 3 hub zones: Earth, Space Dock, Quonos, and New Romulus. There will be permanent plaques installed in each, marking the passage of Leonard Nimoy and other original series co-workers Majel Barrett, James Doohan, DeForest Kelly, and Gene Roddenberry. I know, it's not a happy story to start with.
Well, how about some trivia? Did you know that William Shatner is actually 5 days older than Nimoy?
He's that old?
I was afraid you were going to say he was 5 days older than Jesus. I mean...
I was surprised,
I didn't know that.
too.
It does explain why they fought so much. They hated each other early on in that production. They came to so many arguments over little things.
Well, apparently they knew each other, beforehand from another show, actually.
I still enjoyed hearing, Leonard Nimoy on the Mark and Brian show about a few years ago. They had him in an interview, and they asked him what it was like to know William Shatner all this time after the show was done. And Nimoy told them they will start fights in restaurants just to see what people will do. They'll sit at the table, and Shatner will give a little sign, and he'll suddenly lean in the table and say, "I can't believe I had to put up with your dead ass all these years." Just, what about you? You and your over-fisted ham acting. Oh, well, at least my big move on the show wasn't just raising my eyebrow in those stupid ears.
That's awesome.
In further video game news, there is a new system in World of Warcraft. They will start selling subscription time for the in-game gold.
Yeah, I heard about this one.
Huh.
Yeah,
They're taking a cue from WildStar.
Yeah, I mean, it is also a case where you can get more gold using, real-life currency and transferring it over.
Right.
This new system is supposed to launch in an upcoming patch, according to Blizzard, but they haven't said when exactly it's going to happen or specifics on the pricing as of yet. So, just another reason for people that still are in that game to spend some more money. Why would you do that, though? Why would you spend money to get more gold, to get more game time instead of just
No, you can't spend money to get
time?
more gold. You use the in-game gold to get more time.
Oh, my God. That's grinding for the sake of grinding.
Dude, there are people with ass tons of fucking gold in that game.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I mean, that's before this game got, What expansion are we on?
I was about to say, whose ass ton? My ass ton or Kim Kardashian's ass ton? Because there's a difference in tonnage there.
Yes.
Although playing video games and earning money is not a new concept, there was a new story that came out that said that there's a player named Carlos Rodriguez Santiago. His screen name was Ocelot, as he played in several gaming tournaments that included League of Legends and things like that. He is retired at the age of 24 after earning approximately $773,108 per year playing video games.
Damn.
Wow.
He was playing in titles like League of Legends and World of Warcraft. He would play over the internet and in esports tournaments. He would stream on Twitch, which was recently bought by Amazon for $970 million.
Damn, this stuff makes me jealous.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can earn serious money playing video games, but you have to be good, and you have to find some Korean people willing to sponsor you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sponsor anyone.
And, well, also...
You're about as Korean as I am black, so you can shut the hell up. Esports has turned into a big industry, although it's not exactly one of those things I see televised yet, and I'm not a big Twitch user. You know, I'm not one of those people that will sit around watching people play video games. It's not my thing.
Yeah, I'd rather be playing.
I can watch them.
You know, I wouldn't mind sitting in the arena live and everything, but sitting remotely and watching somebody play video games, just, I'd rather play the game.
Yeah, I'd watch it if I was going to learn something from it, like,
Mhm.
I don't know, depending on the game, if I was learning some new technique or something, that could be interesting, I guess, but...
Yeah, you can learn a lot of techniques about child rearing in World of Warcraft and their mount system. Speaking of which, Blizzard is taking aim at toxic players in Heroes of the Storm.
Mm.
Heroes of the Storm is their new battle arena game that's still in beta. But according to K.O. Milker, who's a senior producer on Heart of the Storm, or Heroes of the Storm, they were talking about the importance of fostering a positive community and realizing over the course of development that limiting players' ability to communicate with one another was effective in some ways, but detrimental in others, like making friends. Quote, early on, we made the decision to remove cross-team chat in Heroes of the Storm in order to eliminate one side of the equation, preventing enemy teams from being toxic to each other. That was a decent start, but we all know that your own teammates are often the most toxic offenders in these games.
Yep.
So we've considered a lot of options for combating things on that end. Along the way, we had come to terms with the reality that the kind of player who wants to be toxic to their teammates is going to do so unless we limit their communication options, incentivize them to eliminate toxicity from their behavior, or make the consequences for their actions severe enough that they either stop being toxic or simply find a different game to be toxic in, unquote. That sounds like some of the stories I've heard about League of Legends, man. If you are not very good when you get into ranked matches, you will hear about it for no fucking end.
Which is why I don't play that game.
That's why I don't play most games of that type, to be honest.
Yeah, it does disincentivize me from even attempting League of Legends. I've heard decent stuff about it, but it doesn't sound like my gig. Especially if I'm going to listen to a bunch of 12-year-olds be acerbic. No way, dude. I'd rather
they're not 12-year-olds.
Send them to bed.
Well, some of them
Some
are.
of them are.
Yeah,
It's a very
most of them
popular
are.
game.
Most of them are in their 20s, so.
Yeah, most of them are in their 20s. Or at least the ones that I know.
That's fine. They can come box. And all of a sudden, without any warning, Five Nights at Freddy 3 has been put out.
Already? Damn.
Yeah, it's on Steam for $7.99. And unlike the second game, number 3 apparently is set to be a sequel in the future.
Oh.
The synopsis is, quote, 30 years after Freddy Fazbear's Pizza closed its doors, the events that took place there have become nothing more than a rumor and a childhood memory. But the owners of Fazbear's Fright, the horror attraction, are determined to revive the legend and make the experience as authentic as possible for patrons, going to great lengths to find anything that might have survived decades of neglect and ruin. At first, they were only empty shells, a hand, a hook, an old paper plate doll. But then a remarkable discovery was made. The attraction now has one animatronic, unquote.
Which one?
It doesn't say. There's a video attached to it, but I haven't played it. There's a picture I see of some kind of green thing. It looks like a
Greenfin.
Looks like a bear with a skeletal-style smile.
Pix.
Please?
Now!
Please?
Please.
I'm not going to do anything till the Koreans says something. Come on.
This should be fun.
Please.
There we go. Handling multiple kids at once. You think I'm not going to take that shit from you?
Oh, wow.
I mean, the graphics look good and everything. I just don't know what I'm looking at.
What
That's one of the,
I guess technically I don't know what's looking at me.
it was one of the old animatronics from the first game. There's actually one
I know,
behind
but
it, too.
Yeah, I just don't know which one that's supposed to be.
Was
Oh.
this for Grim Fandango?
Five Nights at Freddy's.
That makes more sense.
3. Yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's 3. It's turned into a serious thing in the convention circuit. Also, in unexpected announcements, Final Fantasy X and X2 HD remasters will be coming out for the PS4 as of May 12th. For games that a lot of people seem to complain about, it sure seems to be getting a lot of replay action. I mean, shit, these are games that came out on the PS2?
Only the loudmouths are complaining, I bet.
You know, I still think that Square Enix is making a mistake by not doing a full remaster and graphic
Overhaul of
update
7?
Of 7,
Yeah.
You know, there may be more fun Final Fantasies out there, but that was definitely the one that brought in a lot of gamers of different types.
Yeah.
So.
I may be endangering my nerd card, but I've never had an interest in any of the Final Fantasy games.
That's fine. I know some people that
You're just...
I know some people that have never watched Star Wars or Star Trek. Hell, I've not seen the Lord of the Rings series, any of them.
I haven't seen any of the Hobbit movies. I have been forced to watch the Lord of the Rings movies, and people have almost thrown me out during those screenings. Yeah, well, Jesse knows that habit. When I'm bored, I will talk at the TV, not even trying to get people to laugh, just because I'm trying to entertain myself. And it can get obnoxious.
Yeah. Those movies are not for everyone. I love them, but...
Yeah, it wasn't my thing. And my mother-in-law watched The Hobbit, the first movie of The Hobbit, while I was in the room. And I kept asking questions. You know, why do those dwarves look like small humans?
Hey, I was
You know,
just
shit.
happy that I finally found hot dwarves.
They're all blacksmiths. They all have to be hot sooner or later.
Not what I meant.
Some questions came to mind. I'm not sure how to phrase them for V.
Just you want to check out his Uru hammer?
Crickets. I really need to have a cue crickets button.
Well, V, you had trouble with your cable company recently. It turns out other people are having different problems. People are signing up with Comcast, and they're trying to use the HBO Go app on their PS4s. What they found out is if you're a Comcast subscriber, you can't use HBO Go on your PS4.
Oh?
Huh?
Due to while the app is available for the PS4 users, because of some kind of contractual dispute with Comcast, the content from HBO is not available via their system. That's fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, why the frick? You know, I'm not even going to ask. I'm sure it just has to do with something about money for Comcast.
Comcast can go suck a dick. Again.
You know, Comcast was asked for an explanation as to when this will be worked out, and they gave no timeline whatsoever. All they told the website of TechDirt was, quote, with every new website, device, or player, we authenticate, we need to work through technical integration, and customer service, which takes time and resources. Moving forward, we will continue to prioritize as we partner with various players, unquote. Hello, answer, no answer. That doesn't mean anything, and HBO Go's been out for a fucking while already. I hate companies sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. There are some that do me right and some that do me wrong.
I'm willing to worship at the altar of Google.
I'm almost worried to see what's been put on that altar. A modem, a few DVDs, small child. Last bit of video game news I have, almost made it in the what the fuck corner, frankly. It's been no secret that Halo has been having some problems with its multiplayer in the Master Chief Collection. But sometimes when stuff works, it works a little too well. How would you like to see the most unbelievable snipe I've ever seen in a video game?
Oh, I saw this.
Mer?
Shoot.
There it is. Now it starts off with some guy with a sniper rifle trying to hold his own in a Forge map. And as he hops down, he's getting attacked. You can see the arrow there. He pulls off a shot and he killed somebody. He didn't even look at the guy, really. He just no-scoped, fired a shot, and it was gone. Take a look at the trajectory of the bullet. Bounces once.
Nice.
Twice, 3 times, and through a skull. Oh, no, through his midsection.
Yeah, I saw this. I can't believe it's made it on my Yahoo News.
I didn't.
You know what? That's rolling a 20. There is no way around that.
No, that's not rolling. That's 3 consecutive 20s.
No, that is rolling 120 because the bullet found its mark even though he wasn't even looking at the guy. That was critical success beyond.
That's what we're saying, is that you roll a 20 and then you roll another 20 to confirm that 20. So he rolled double 20.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an old house rule that says if you roll 3 consecutive 20s in a row, that critical hit instantly kills.
That was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that guy had to check the video to find out just what the fuck.
Although there was a quote, yeah, I actually got to talk to the guy. He said, "Dude, that was 1 in a million."
Actually, his YouTube description is even better. It says, quote, "Of course the kill was intentional. I accurately predicted the spawn of the player after I killed him for the first time. I knew exactly where he was positioned when he shot at me, and therefore deliberately ricocheted the bullet off 3 surfaces to take him out. It was very simple, really. That was a joke, of course. I'm well aware that this kill was probably the luckiest I've ever seen on Halo. I got the kill, and initially I thought it was nothing more than a decent no-scope, but when I later reviewed the footage in theater mode, it turns out that the bullet ricocheted 3 times before landing in the head of the opposition player. I know that I was incredibly fortunate, and the only purpose of this video is to entertain. I am not professing to be anything more than a slightly less than averagely skilled Halo player. I play the game for fun and for moments such as this one. Thanks very much for watching, and hope you enjoyed." Unquote.
Modest.
And I don't think Cyclops could have pulled off a better shot than that one. And that's assuming he used his eyes. We'll move forward into Marvel media news. We'll talk about those Marvel projects that don't end up on the comic book page. How would you like to go to the premiere of Age of Ultron with Tony Stark?
I don't know.
V, how about you?
What about Tony Stark?
Oh my god, thanks. Robert Downey Jr. has announced an Omaze campaign. Omaze is the website where you can send donations in exchange for a chance to win a prize, kind of like a raffle.
Uh-huh.
Robert Downey Jr. has opened up an Omaze, and if you win it, he will send you for a day of pampering. He will take you to breakfast at Randy's Donuts.
I want to win.
An indoor skydiving adventure. A helicopter ride. A tux or gown fitting. And then finally, he will engage you in a battle of wits on the red carpet of Age of Ultron.
I want to win.
I
want to win at the first part, but
other prizes are available at certain donation levels. But if you donate just $10 through Omaze.com/RDJ, you get an entry into this particular raffle.
Nice.
And I don't remember where it's going for, but I think he said it was going through. It's to benefit Julia's house. It's a hospice charity in England. So, if you ever wanted your chance to meet a guy for a few bucks, there's it. There's a rumor going around that Drew Goddard is in the running to direct the Spider-Man reboot movie.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, Drew Goddard is the director of Cabin in the Woods. Word is he was also supposed to be the director on the Sinister Six movie for Sony, but it looked like he's in the running to take over for Webhead himself. And this is for the Marvel-produced reboot via Sony distribution. And that's not the only interesting little rumor coming out about Marvel movies. There's word that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 may sport a cameo by Al Pacino.
Doing what?
It depends on the role. You know, it's no secret that James Gunn in a tweet answered a question of which actor would you like to work with a simple answer of Al Pacino. Pacino talked recently to Deadline last September, and he said, quote, "I recognize the ingenious stuff they were doing in regards to Guardians of the Galaxy, the invention, the attractiveness, the way they were performing it. It had Shakespearean feeling to it at times. I was caught up on the big screen, the great sound," unquote. And let me see, Pacino qualified his critique by expressing a desire to know where he could potentially fit in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Quote, "I would do anything that I could understand in terms of how I fit in it. And, you know, of course, I could fit in it. Anything's possible," unquote. Pacino even said recently, quote, "I'm ready to go to Marvel," unquote. But he refused to elaborate further. So Pacino may be ooh-ahing all over a Marvel movie soon. This is a piece of news that's got people a little bit sideways. The directors of Captain America Winter Soldier, the Russo brothers, they just signed a first look deal with Sony. Now, a lot of people freaked out and assumed that meant they were ditching all their Marvel projects and they just weren't going to be working on any further. Calm the fuck down. A first look deal means that anything they produce, any new scripts or any new storylines, they now give Sony first option at buying those scripts. That doesn't mean they can't take outside gigs if they're contracted for it. So it's a first development deal. It doesn't mean they have to drop everything like a hot potato. So the fact that they're working on the third Captain America film doesn't change that.
Cool. Now,
moving on to Marvel's TV properties, or technically their internet properties, we have the first full view of Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk, a.k.a. the Kingpin in Daredevil. Holy shit, he looks like the Kingpin.
Show us.
I sent it. Shut up. God damn.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to have to work on your manners a bit.
I like it.
It's a simple, straightforward look.
Yeah.
You think he actually shaved his head, or do you think that that's the cap up there?
I think he shaved.
Let me see. The outline of Fisk's character is, quote, "Central to this conflict is the fact that Fisk truly believes he's doing good for Hell's Kitchen, and at times may seem more of a hero to his people than Daredevil. Intelligent, complex, and physically imposing, Wilson Fisk is the perfect foil for Matt Murdock, and the two will collide dramatically in Marvel's Daredevil," unquote. And to keep everything in perspective, remember, all 12 or 13 episodes of Daredevil come out next month on Netflix.
Nice.
And then next year, I believe, is when a.k.a. Jessica Jones comes out. It's going to be a busy spring for us. Daredevil is coming out in April. In May is Age of Ultron. And then in summer is Ant-Man.
So much coming out this year.
I know. And Jeremy Renner has talked a little bit about his role as Hawkeye in Age of Ultron. He said that he did have a role upcoming, but he wouldn't elaborate on it. Quote, "You know, in this movie where he's been, yeah, it's actually a wonderful secret reveal. It's pretty awesome," unquote. And that's all he said. Some people are starting to speculate as to what the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. meant for Hawkeye since he was a secret agent, but Renner said that Hawkeye is kind of a loner, and the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. was probably a good thing for his character.
Probably. He never seemed to really integrate.
Well, that wasn't the only thing he alluded to. He said that his character of Hawkeye is going to end up in Captain America 3, Civil War.
I wonder which side.
I don't know. People are starting to describe Cap 3 not as a sequel movie so much as Avengers 2.5.
Well, just the way everything has been, interweaving in the Marvel Universe, that's not surprising. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
He also said there's some talk of some of the movie characters ending up in one of the TV shows sooner or later.
Really?
Yeah. So there appears to be a lot of crossover upcoming. And when he says TV shows, he probably meant the internet shows.
Ah.
I don't imagine they're going to put too much into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They're busy building a mythos in that series.
Well, I mean, they've already integrated with both Avengers and Captain America.
They've integrated stories a bit, but they haven't shown a whole lot of crossover with characters, though.
Well, there's Sif.
Yeah.
No, that was the only character to show up, a sea-level character in the Thor movies.
Yeah. And Agent Coulson.
Yeah, well, that was the resurrection story. Yeah. Last bit of Marvel media news I have is something that might set somebody back about $250.
Oh.
Yeah, the Hulkbuster armor, it's no secret, has been kind of a draw of the trailers when it comes to Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
Well, Hot Toys has decided to make a figure out of it.
Oh, shit.
Take a look at this thing. It is fucking detailed, and I believe those LEDs all light up in there.
Ah, damn.
I thought that was a screenshot.
It is.
I mean, this is a toy.
Yeah, that's a figure.
There should be a scale next to it.
It's going to come in at about 55 centimeters tall.
That's pretty tall.
I'm not 100% certain where that lands, but I want to say that's about 8-9 inches, I think.
55 centimeters?
Yeah. Wait, I have the internet.
Right? We're all Googling converter at this moment, aren't we?
21 inches. Holy shit, 21 inches tall.
Dude!
Yeah, there's
That thing
approximately...
is almost 2 feet.
That thing is
I
huge.
almost got my card cleared off.
Well, they're guessing this is going to be about $300. What do you think? Is that a buy?
Not really, personally, but I could see people that will like...
For me, it is damn close.
Yeah.
Dude, I've been big on robots and mech suits since I first watched cartoons. So...
So this one is just kind of tickling your...
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right. I thought that was the last of Marvel media news, but I do have one more that I should probably talk to you guys about. I take it you all have seen that the last Age of Ultron trailer has hit the internet?
Yep.
No, because no internets.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well, let's fix that. It's been out for a week, and it's already had over 16 million views on YouTube. Which means it's practically paid for itself. I just sent it. And this trailer, it kind of cements the fact that this movie needs to be seen by everybody who has an interest in superheroes. I like the sprawling shots of the castle. And it looks like Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are going to end their tenure with Hydra and start working with Ultron initially.
I'll take that from them.
There's also a bit of a clue as to how Ultron may have been created.
There's only one path to peace. Their extinction.
James Spader has such a creepy freaking voice.
Tried to create a suit of armor around the world. But I created something terrible. Artificial intelligence. It's called the Ultron program.
So his plan was to seed armors around the planet, it looks like.
For our mistakes.
He was trying to create
end the fight and go home?
a response force.
Well, you're amazingly...
Pretty much. Probably also in response to the fact that S.H.I.E.L.D. no longer exists. That spread of them leaping through the snow, that's going to end up on, was it wallpapers across the planet?
Oh, yeah.
Nothing but our wit and our will save the world. So
Did he pick up the scepter?
Yes, he did.
What'd he get to do with that?
No, we'll talk about that when the trailer's done.
I'm always picking up after you,
And
boy.
Scarlett Johansson riding at high speed picking up that shield. And that punching contest between the Hulkbuster and the Hulk.
Well, it's... The Hulk never stood a chance, but they could slow him down.
The Hulk Never stood a chance,
No,
really?
no, the Hulkbuster never could stand a chance against the Hulk. But it was good enough to
originally
slow
the
him
Hulk
down.
Never stood a chance. I was about to argue that one forever.
Yeah, the best they could do was slow him down.
Okay, there's the trailer.
There it is.
Okay, now, to answer your question about the scepter, I think that's what creates Ultron. I mean, artificial intelligence is something that we're already working on this planet, but if the speculation is right, and that scepter contains the infinity gem of mind, could you imagine how that would enhance an AI?
True.
It does make sense, though, because that scepter, with one simple touch, was able to change the alignment of anybody who it was used on.
Except for Tony Stark.
Yeah, because he never actually touched skin. It just kept tapping right onto
The arc reactor.
the arc reactor.
Well, on the flip side of these, suppose it could have been used to, awaken the Vision.
I don't know, because by then Ultron probably would have had enough computing power to build it. I guess the only question left is to find out whether or not the Vision was some other kind of backup plan of Tony Stark's, or if it's like the comics and it's Ultron's son. That's one of those things I'm sure we won't know until the movie hits. We will pass from there into DC media news, where we talk about the DC stuff that does not land on the blah, 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 blah. First off is a rumor that the Justice League movie may not employ a male Green Lantern. They may go and try to represent the latest female character in the series, Power Ring.
That's cool.
Really?
It would be kind of a long thing to explain. The current Power Ring is a character named Jessica Cruz, a woman. And when that speculation started, some people asked if Michelle Rodriguez might be up for the part. She's a Hispanic girl. And that's kind of a problem.
She notoriously dies in any movie she's in, though.
No, that's not the problem. The problem is that TMZ picked up on that rumor and then asked Rodriguez herself on the street using one of their little handy cams.
Uh-huh.
Here's the exchange. The guy from TMZ asks, Michelle, are you going to be the Green Lantern? And she answers, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And the guy says, really? And her response is, yeah, because of this whole minorities in Hollywood thing. And the guy says, it's been all over the internet, though. And her response, quote, but it's so stupid. Stop stealing all the white people's superheroes, you know? Make up your own. I mean, what's up with that, unquote?
I'm literally scratching my head.
Yeah, the Hispanic lady says that there's too many minority superheroes?
I don't think that's what she's going for. I think
that's what she said. You know, she wants people to come up with brand new superheroes instead of actually trying to carve out roles in these big budget productions. There's room for brand new superheroes. Don't misunderstand that.
Yeah.
But if somebody's going to offer you a role of, say, Green Lantern and say, Jesse, we want you to be the first Korean Hal Jordan, I mean, you'd be an idiot to say no to that contract.
Even though I'm horrible at acting, yeah.
Yeah. It's just like somebody came up to me and said, Jeremy, how would you like to be the first black Tony Stark? Okay. You know, you would have to literally stop my hand from writing. I signed that 3 times if they didn't need it. So I don't know what the fuck crawled up her crawl, but she faced a lot of backlash. She had to actually submit a secondary video trying to explain what she said. And I think most of the internet just said, we heard you already. It's just, man, that was a response with zero thought put behind it. Speaking of DC properties, the Suicide Squad, it looks like they're getting ready for filming, and Jared Leto, who's been signed up as the Joker, sported a new haircut recently. This is the guy who played the transgender person on, what do you call it? On, I think it was North Dallas 40?
I don't know.
No, I have that wrong. I think he won a supporting Oscar for it, but again, I could be wrong in that. He had these long brown locks, he had a beard, mustache. He's taken all of that away.
Oh.
No, check this out. I couldn't pull the URL, so I sent you the webpage, but it shows a picture that he posted on Instagram. Look at that. He looks like a Swedish Bond villain.
Wow.
Or one of the Beatles.
No, Beatles had more hair than that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Even when they were clean cut.
Okay. No, I'm thinking about the old, what he looked like before this.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. Definitely villain.
Reminds me of
Honestly,
Draco
white
now.
makeup and dye his hair green, and we're good.
Yeah. I don't know I don't know if he's necessarily preparing for anything or if he just needed a new look, but he looked ready. We found out a little bit more information about this new CW superhero spinoff from the Flash and Arrow universe. Turns out it's not going to be a straight Atom show like we thought. It's going to be a superhero team-up show of some sort.
Oh?
They're going to use Brandon Ruth in his role as Ray Palmer / the Atom. They are bringing back the actress who played the first Black Canary in Arrow. They've also added Robbie Armell, who's the second half of Firestorm. They already cast the other half of it in this show. So it looks like they're getting ready to create some kind of team-up show to add to the roster.
Cool. I need to catch up on Arrow, damn it.
It could work out fairly well. Let's just hope they don't rush into it, because they tried that with Smallville, and that failed horribly. Remember when they started introducing characters like one after the other and tried to recreate the Justice League in junior form?
I never actually watched that.
Me either. I watched 1 or 2 episodes here and there, but I really never watched Smallville.
I stayed up with the news, but I can't say I ever actually sat down and watched more than one episode. And one episode was more than enough.
I know I caught one episode with Oliver Queen and one with Victor Stone. That's about it.
That was in the midst of them attempting to build the Justice League, but it never really worked out. However, Arrow did promise one villain and slam the door on the possibility of the next. At Long Beach Comic Expo, executive producer of the Arrow show, Mark Guggenheim, said he would be stunned if a villain named Onomatopoeia did not show up before the series finished.
Sorry, I've never heard of this villain, but it sounds...
Yeah, neither have I.
Onomatopoeia was actually created, if I remember correctly, in a Batman miniseries by Kevin Smith. He wrote a comic book series about a villain who had the power to, basically, when he used his mouth to make a sound, the effect of it occurred. If he pointed his finger and said, bang, you were shot. Things like that. Unfortunately, though, the villain they slammed the door on, Harley Quinn.
Oh. A lot of people are going to be disappointed about that.
Yeah, the character had a silhouette cameo in the season 2 episode titled Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And when somebody asked Guggenheim if they would ever fully use her, Guggenheim stated that with Gotham on Fox and the Suicide Squad movie coming up, it's very unlikely she'll be coming back.
Thank you, DC.
Actually, Onomatopoeia was supposed to show up in season 1, but the production team changed their mind, and the villain was replaced by Mr. Blank, played by J. August Richards, in the episode of Home Invasion on Arrow. I don't know. I understand the issue with the character already showing up in another series, potentially, and I guess the name would show up. Well, actually, I don't know why you'd bring the character to Gotham, frankly. She would be, 10? And then, I understand the Suicide Squad and everything, but if the universes aren't connected, wouldn't that make Harley Quinn kind of fair play?
I think they're worried about confusion between with the fans.
We've already outlined there's 3 different DC televised universes. I don't think confusion is a problem anymore. Speaking of Gotham, it does look like one character is not coming back for season 2.
Yep.
Jada Pinkett Smith revealed that she was signed for a 1-year deal, and her year is up. She's the one who plays Fish Mooney on the show.
Yeah, I know.
So it looks like this character will be done as of the end of this season, which I think should be coming soon. They're already up to episode 18 in this season.
I'm not sure I want to catch up with it, though.
I can't recommend it. I'm still watching it just because I'm bored, and her storyline currently, with her stuck on an island with a surgical freak harvesting body parts, is the least interesting part of the show. Second least interesting part of the show. The most interesting is still anything that has to do with Jim Gordon, frankly.
Yeah.
The character is just dull. I mean, when the Penguin shows up, I'm gratified that something is likely to occur. But unfortunately, even the Penguin scenes in the last couple episodes have been very run-of-the-mill.
Yeah, he's kind of run out of steam now that he's not being chasing or playing everyone.
Yeah. We do have pictures of Melissa Benoist as Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl, for the new TV show. I'm on the fence. I sent you a JPEG.
Wow, that's dark.
That was my precise first thought. They chose a very dark color palette for the costume.
I like this.
Honestly, I don't think the color palette wouldn't be so bad if they actually gave it a decent background instead of a concrete wall.
Yeah.
I do think the color palette is a little too dark. I understand that they seem to have tried to have made it similar to the Man of Steel Superman costume as far as palette, but that didn't work for me either. And unless this show is going to be as dark and brooding and she's going to fail to save 6 million people in one fight too, I don't know why you go this route. The whole thing is disconnected from their cinematic universe, so why does it have to be that dark? I've heard people complain about the pantyhose tights she's wearing. I can take that or leave it. It doesn't really mean
I
don't
like
care.
The darkness. I think the brighter colors would look weird, personally.
Yeah, I can see that.
Do you think she's going to tell everybody that S on her chest stands for hope? I can only guess. The funny thing is, we weren't the only ones to actually comment on that. I'm going to send you another picture here. It's from a Facebook post. Can you see that okay?
Checking. Oh, whoa, what the?
V, can you see that too?
Yeah, I see nipples.
Okay. Yeah, the thing on the left is from the CBS TV show. The thing on the right is from a different production. And the guy who put it up is a man named Axel Braun. He's known for doing superhero parodies in porn films.
Ah.
And he said that he could come up with a better costume than the one that TNT came up with for Supergirl.
I don't like the one on the right.
I'm not as much of a fan of it either. I think it has good aspects to it, but it also has a lot going against it.
For one thing, it's a lot less practical. That one-piece deal is going to be hard to get out of if she needs to pee.
Technically, it's a porn parody, so I don't think she needs to get out of it to pee.
Yeah, well, get out of it to do anything else.
There's probably a zipper in the crotch, frankly.
Yeah.
My biggest issue with the Supergirl design that TNT came up with, though, is that I was kind of hoping for something a little less... It's very much like the 80s design of Supergirl, and I've never found that to be very interesting. I was hoping they'd go for at least like the 2000s or maybe even the new 52 version, but they went for one of the oldest iterations I could think of. That's my personal thing. Last bit of DC media news I have is one I have trouble swallowing. Variety had a talk with Warner Brothers chairman and CEO Kevin Tsujihara in regards to the DC Cinematic Universe. And he labeled their universe as superior to other comic book movie universes for one reason. Quote, "The worlds of DC are very different. They're steeped in realism, and they're a little bit edgier than Marvel movies," unquote. Okay, I think Jesse keyed into the same problem that I did when I read that sentence. The CEO of Warner Brothers believes that the DC Cinematic Universe is realer than other comic book movies. They're steeped in realism, is what he said. According to Meredith Werner at IO9, she said, "Realism? The picture above is of two flying humanoid aliens who were just fighting each other in the air, and now one is shooting his heat beams out of his eyes."
But
so much for realism.
That's not... Realism is not about fantasy versus reality. Realism is about, if these things did actually exist, this is what would follow.
I think that Man of Steel is probably one of the most unreal comic book movies I've ever seen.
I am just arguing that semantic.
Oh, the latter half, yes.
I haven't seen the movie myself, honestly, so...
I find it hard to recommend. I could watch it once, but I wouldn't recommend that you actually spend money to do it. There were a lot of scenes that just made me wonder what the fuck is happening here. The whole thing with him not rescuing his father, didn't understand that to save his life. Basically, I didn't get it at all. And then that last fight went on too long.
Yeah. Never mind, we had a Planet Buster that wrecked a good portion. Say they wrecked the rest of it.
Yeah. Let's see. Tsuchihara also said in the interview, quote, "The big franchises are becoming more and more valuable. You don't have to explain to the consumer what a Batman v Superman is," unquote.
That's still a long-ass title.
Yeah, I mean, I grant you don't have to explain to consumers what Batman or Superman are. Then again, a lot of consumers just went to see a movie with no context about a talking tree and raccoon, so I don't give a shit what Batman or Superman are. Take that message. Let's get some general media news in. We'll talk about things that aren't Marvel and DC related. Stephen Moffat has said that the Doctor is going to lighten up a bit in Season 9 of Doctor Who.
Really?
He wasn't, terribly unlight.
Well, he was kind of he wasn't ineffectual and he wasn't uncharismatic, but he was a bit of a jackass through the series. Or at least through the season.
Fair.
Yeah.
In regards to the upcoming season, he said, quote, "We're not bringing him back exactly as we left him at all. I think that was already evident at Christmas. He's left some of the burden of being a superhero of the universe behind, so I'm pushing him. I'm writing him quite funnier this year. I'm pushing him the other way," unquote. So he's looking to bring back, I think, a little bit more of the scatterbrain lightheartedness that you saw in certain episodes of the season, like the one with the mummy. He was pretty likable then. He was just really off. It's also been announced that Star Trek is getting the ultimate concert for its 50th anniversary. According to Hero Complex, it's being presented by Cineconcerts and CBS Consumer Products and Paramount Pictures. They will be symphonic concerts that will touch on major themes from composers Jerry Goldsmith, James Horner, and Leonard Rosenman, with the symphony orchestra performing live as footage from various Star Trek movies and TV shows is projected on a 40-foot screen. A pre-tour performance is going to take place at Royal Albert Hall in London on November 1st, 2015. The concerts will have music from Star Trek The Motion Picture, Star Trek II Wrath of Khan, Star Trek IV Voyage Home, Star Trek Insurrection, and it's going to be alongside from soundtracks from Star Trek TOS, Star Trek TNG, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and Star Trek Voyager.
Yay!
There will be no music included from Starfleet Academy. This is going to be a 100-stop tour. We see Rob Brickett on IO9 said they'd be remiss if they didn't include the Ballad of Bilbo Baggins. And in regards to Star Wars, instead, the Star Wars movies are going to be retold on a TV show.
Okay.
Really?
I don't quite know where this is coming from, but it's been announced that it's picked up a brand new animated Star Wars franchise program, and this one has a new premise and format. Lego Star Wars Droid Tales will retell the first 6 movies in the franchise in shorter installation and using Legos.
I'm already disinterested.
They're making Legos series and movies out of a lot of shit these days.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, I like Legos and all that, but
they're not my thing. They hurt to step on.
I was always more into jigsaw puzzles than Legos.
I was big into Legos, but can't get back into it to how pricey it is.
I had a period where I probably would have been very into Legos, but that was the era in the 90s where Kinect came out, and I started using those instead.
Didn't have Kinect. I had Constructs, though, but
I had some
still had a
Lincoln
case
Logs.
for that.
It feels like we're having a sad build nerd contest or something. Going back to something we talked about a little bit last week, the Power Rangers homage film by Adi Shankar. The director of it, Joseph Kahn, talked a little bit about how it came about. And he said, quote, I would say the Black Power Ranger in bed with naked girls doing coke and then blowing the brains out of a bunch of North Koreans probably factored into this being pulled from the internet. The stabbing, cursing, and Vanderbeek gropey hands probably didn't help either. Then 12 million people in 2 days looking at this stuff probably freaked out a few people. I don't know, just speculating. And then he was asked about what happened to get it all back online. He said, quote, "In a nutshell, the internet screamed so loud everyone around the world heard it. I literally heard reports of people in Iran saying they loved the short before it was pulled. That is a very strange thing to think about. How someone in Iran, some mullah, is slamming his keyboard like, where the fuck is that Power Rangers fan film? Yeah, that's not easy to shut down," unquote. That is kind of an image of some guy sitting in the middle of Iran going, hey, I was watching that. He didn't talk details when it came to Saban maybe apologizing for the whole kerfuffle that took it down and put it back up. But they did put extra disclaimers at the beginning of the video.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, can you really blame Saban for doing that?
A bit. There's all kinds of fan and homage projects out there that didn't get this kind of screaming. Saban lost their crap. But speaking of homage projects, I have one of a Zelda homage project.
Oh?
Yeah, it's only 2.5 minutes long. It's a Legend of Zelda live-action trailer, or live-action teaser.
Hmm.
Hang on, I'll send it. There it is. Ooh, we open with a forest. Where's E.T.? You almost expect, like, ninjas to be jumping across the trees or something.
Like one with an orange jumpsuit?
Maybe. In collaboration with Player Piano. Think they did the music? That's a big-ass shield he's carrying. Thing's, like, larger than his torso.
Well, he wasn't very tall, so...
When he started out, he was 8-bit pixels. How can you measure height from that?
Didn't look tall.
But you never played Ocarina at a time?
No, I didn't care to. I wasn't a fan of, like, Nintendo systems from, like, the N64 on. Oh, that's a very nifty scene of a guy riding a horse.
Enough dramatic effect. Let's get to the main stuff.
Look, there's a handsome guy with plastic ears. Well, he's wearing bright white tights. Now he's petting the horse.
Are you ready to go?
Oh my god, it's a Navi.
Oh, shit. Hey, listen.
Oh. Hey, look, he's wandering into Mordor. Looks like this is a teaser for a new project. I don't know if it's a movie or series, but...
It looks cool. I'd watch it. I'd at least give it a shot.
Let's hope Nintendo doesn't get down on them. Nintendo's really cracking down on YouTubes that have anything to do with
yeah.
gameplay footage and Nintendo properties.
Oh, yeah. Nah. They're, Sega's just as bad from what I hear, I think.
Yeah. Well, I almost went to the art gallery that's showing off production art from The Legend of Korra, the Avatar series.
Uh-huh.
That started up on Saturday. And they announced that they're having a special 100 prints in line available for the first 100 guests to buy.
Uh-huh.
This was almost enough to get me down there. Because, as you know, the series ended with the implications of a relationship between the two female protagonists in the show, Korra and Asami.
Mm-hmm.
And the writer said that it did officially happen, they just didn't show it on screen. They consider it canon. Well, they produced a print based on the idea of these two characters actually being a couple. Take a look at that. It's a very interesting style of picture. It was inspired by the swan boats that one of the artists saw in Japan. It's Korra and Asami sitting in a turtle duck boat.
Yep.
On some kind of lake before a tower. I don't know if that's in New Republic City or not. But it's actually a pretty tender little image.
That's cute.
I kind of expect something like this from actual fan art, but yeah, this is a...
Yeah, here's a close-up of what the two characters are doing in the boat, and it's actually more adorable when you see it. It's not like they're straddling each other or anything stupid like that.
Oh. How big is this print going to be?
Well, like I said, this opened up for the first 100 people on Saturday. It's probably already gone, and you can check YouTube for it. They didn't say what size the print itself is. I'm going to guess it's poster size. It looks like if it's not poster size, it's theatrical poster size. And all the proceeds from the sale, 100% of his share, went to an LGBTQ suicide prevention hotline.
Well, that's cool.
Last up in general media news, I have a list of what IO9 considers the best martial arts movie fights of all time.
Okay.
Some of these predate me, I swear to God. The first one on the list is from The Manchurian Candidate in 1962. I think this is by Rob Bricken in IO9. No, it's by somebody named Brian Ashcraft. I haven't read any of his articles before. It says, quote, "This is one of the first time American mainstream moviegoers who are used to cowboy salon brawls has seen a karate fight like this. The scene blew people's minds, inspiring some cinema goers to take up karate, much like the Karate Kid would decades later. Sure, it doesn't compare with the martial arts acrobatics of the years that followed, but it's brutal and rough. So much so that Frank Sinatra ended up with a broken hand," unquote. I never heard about that. Huh. The second scene they came up with was from 1967 from a Japanese movie called Saitachi Challenged. Quote, the incomparable Shintaro Katsu as the character he made famous, the blind swordsman Saitachi. Sure, B. Takeshi did a commendable job in his 2003 take on Saitachi, but here Katsu shows why the character will always be his, and his alone, in this elegant samurai showdown, unquote. The third one on this list is one probably familiar to most people who have even heard of martial arts movies. From 1972, Bruce Lee and Fists of Fury.
I've heard of it.
Quote, "Geez, can you really pick Bruce Lee's best fight? Is that possible? In his short career, Lee left a series of iconic fights. There's everything like the Chuck Norris duel, that time Bruce Lee tangoed with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The last of which isn't really a great fight per se, but hey, it's got Kareem in sunglasses. But the Fist of Fury Dojo fight lives up to its English language title. It's Bruce Lee uncorked and let loose. Jet Li did a damn fine job in the 1994 remake Fist of Legend, which proved him as a worthy successor," unquote. I've seen the Fist of Legend take. The fourth one on this list is from 1974. The movie's called Executioner. Quote, "Most men could not pull off fighting in a frilly shirt bow tie combo. Then again, Sonny Chiba is not most men. He fights bears. He throws X-ray punches. Here, he kicks paint off dudes' faces and rips out their bones. Sonny Chiba is a karate warrior. Sonny Chiba is the Street Fighter. Sonny Chiba is fucking badass," unquote.
He needs to be on Mortal Kombat.
He needs to fight Chuck Norris to the death. Fifth on this list of what IO9 considers the best martial arts movie fights ever is from a movie I am not familiar with at all. 1976, Master of the Flying Guillotine. Quote, "That's writer-director Jimmy Wang Yu as the one-armed boxer, facing against a character that inspired Dalsim from Street Fighter in one of the 1970s most inventive martial arts flicks," unquote. I wonder if that's true. If this character inspired Dalsim from Street Fighter. Huh. Okay, 1979, we're getting closer to my era of Kung Fu films, The Magnificent Butcher. Quote, "This was supposed to be Sammo Hung's breakout film, a la Jackie Chan's Drunken Master. While it didn't surpass Jackie Chan's original, the film left us with some of Sammo Hung's best fight scenes. That shouldn't come as a surprise, seeing that iconic martial arts choreographer Yuen Wu Ping directed the film," unquote. I may have to go back and check that out. I've always loved Sammo Hung's work. That's a fat man that can fight. Now, the next one's from 1984. I've seen this scene so often, I've almost got it memorized. From Wheels on Meals. Quote, "As with Bruce Lee, picking Jackie Chan's best fight scenes is difficult, if not impossible. While Chan has done bigger stunts, the Wheels on Meals fight scene with Benny Urquidez is so relentless that even watching it can be exhausting. Unlike other Jackie Chan fight scenes, this one doesn't rely heavily on props and instead lets viewers marvel at Chan's and Urquidez's skills. Honorable mention to both Drunken Master 2 and Who Am I among a lifetime of spectacular work," unquote. I would like to pass you the YouTube to that, but it's like almost 6 minutes long, and besides which Miramax pulled the video on copyright grounds. Bastards. We have a few left here. Actually, we have too many left here, so I'll just summarize by saying they also listed the fight scenes from Once Upon a Time in China in 1992, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon in 2000, Hero in 2002, Kill Bill Volume 1 in 2003, The Matrix Reloaded in 2003. Okay, that almost makes me discredit the whole list. And The Protector in 2005. I saw that. That was an awesome scene. Quote, while Ong Bak as Tony Jaa kick-ass while on fire, The Protector showcases martial arts talent in a 4-minute-long take that took a month of preparation. The shot was so complex that it was only possible to do 2 takes per day in order to fix a set between takes. The result is the Touch of Evil or the I Am Cuba tracking shot of martial arts films. They also listed Ip Man from 2008 and The Raid Redemption from 2011. That's a lot of ass-kicking. We'll move from there into Marvel comic news. It's a bit of a short list, and a lot of it has to do with the same things coming up. They're talking about the tie-ins to Secret Wars. One up is called the Extinction Agenda. They're bringing back the 1990s X-Men event, where Havoc was working for the Genosha slave masters. It's going to be done by Mark Guggenheim and Carmine Di Giandomencio. It's going to be set in an alternate future, spinning out the original Extinction Agenda crossover. It's going to be in the Secret Wars Warzones banner, with Havoc and Wolfsbane leading a mutant nation rebuilding out of the ashes of Genosha. And it's also been announced that the Korvac saga is coming, and it's called Guardians of the Galaxy vs. Avengers in an all-new Secret Wars Korvac saga. Okay, that's going to sell comics no matter what you do in it. It's going to pull in teams from the current Guardians 3000 series and puts them in the service of Korvac as a Lord of Battleworld domain known as Forest Hills. They come at odds with a neighboring Lord of Battleworld, Wonder Man, from his own contingent of heroes, the Avengers, who are going to vie with Korvac and his crew. A little bit too much time travel going on there. Last bit of Marvel comic news I have is a sad one. There's an inker named Norman Lee. He's worked on a lot of recent Marvel projects. He went missing earlier this week in the Cayman Islands. Unfortunately, he was snorkeling when he went lost.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't think it needs much saying that if they haven't found him by now, the odds drop pretty significantly. He's been working in credit boxes for the past 2 decades of Marvel Comics. He's worked on things like Mary Jane, Marvel Adventures Avengers, and Wolverine and the X-Men. He's 44 years old. I really hope he's alive, but the pragmatist in me says he's probably not. In DC comic news, they're doing a Convergence tie-in where the longtime hero of Plastic Man is going to fight Nazis in New York City.
Huh?
Looks like he's teaming up with the Freedom Fighters from Uncle Sam. I don't know how much more I want to read on that. That's kind of a scary title. I like Plastic Man. I think he's funny, but fighting Nazis in New York City?
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah. And they've also said that Hal Jordan's future is without a ring for the time being. As of June, he's going to be using the glove of one of the Green Lantern's villains that can convert willpower into green energy, and he's leaving his ring behind to be the scapegoat for something the Green Lanterns did. I wasn't sure how original this was, but a lot of the comments I've seen coming out about it say, what, again? Hal Jordan is without a ring again? I don't know how many times Jordan's been without a ring, but some of the comments lead me to think that it's been 3 times in recent memory.
There's time he died, time he got fired.
There's also the time he was the Spectre.
Wasn't he paralyzed for a while?
Unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how much of the that history has been kept intact after the New 52, schmutzed it all up. And it's also been announced that in the Convergence, the Justice Society of America is returning. The original version that had Jay Garrick as a Flash, Dr. Fate, Hawkman, the, God, what's his name? Scott something is Green Lantern. Alan Scott, that's it. The original Green Lantern. The 1940s and 1950s heroes are returning as of Convergence. Whether or not they'll stay, I don't know. Convergence is kind of a mystery. They could be using it to take all the stuff missing from the New 52 universe and just plug it in quick. But then again, if you do that, it kind of dismantles the whole reason you went through Flashpoint to start over, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, can't say I'm excited about that. Okay, we'll move into general comic news, which we may, I don't know, depending on how things go, we may shift this more into convention news, because there's a lot of stuff coming out about comic book conventions lately. Part of that is simply because Comic-Con is approaching. Believe it or not, we're only about, 122 days from Comic-Con? About 4 months. Some people are saying, God, that's fucking forever. If you knew how hard it was to get badges, that's not a lot of fucking time. But they've already released another list of guests coming to the convention. They've listed David Aja, who's the artist on Hawkeye and Immortal Iron Fist, author of Hyperbole and a Half, Ali Broche, writer and artist of Ant Colony, Michael DeForge, artist and writer on Iron Man and X Factor, Bob Layton, and writer, editor, and publisher of Champion of the Graphic Novel and Legion of Superheroes, Paul Levitz. They've said that this is the 5th week of announcements, so there's already 20 guests prior, and they've also said that they're going to release 5 more guests every week in March and April.
Yeah,
with the exception of the week of WonderCon. With the exception of the week of WonderCon. They're a little busy that week. In regards to WonderCon, there's a couple of things been announced. First off, there's a third-party event going on. It's a Sherlock fan gathering based on the Sherlock TV series with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Mm.
You know, the guy that John Travolta stared at and looked like he wanted to wear him like a suit. It's going to take place on Saturday, April 4th. There's going to be a photo shoot at about 7 p.m., and then the host from 8 to 10 will welcome you to a Sherlock version of Cluedo, prizes, and more. There's more information on an event Facebook page. But also in regards to WonderCon, it's going to be a lot harder to get in this year. As of this week, both 3-day badges and Saturday badges are all sold out. All that's left is Friday and Sunday. They haven't announced a sellout as of yet, but usually Friday and Sunday badges do tend to sell out about a few days before the convention. If you do plan on going to WonderCon and you haven't bought a badge yet, buy it now because they don't sell badges at the door. Doesn't happen. So if you don't have a badge by the time you get, or if you don't have a badge reservation by the time you get there, you screwed. In regards to San Diego Comic-Con, it has been announced that in some capacity, Adam Savage is coming back this year.
Cool.
I wonder if he's going to be walking around in cosplay again.
You know he
Probably.
is.
Like, yeah,
Of course.
I was going to say, I don't
It's going to be something ridiculous or over the top like Iron Man or...
Well, that wasn't the only thing he did. Last year he also hosted that event that was going on Thursday night, Woodstock.
Oh, right.
So he may have other things going on. But he did also say that he's bringing his partner, Jamie Heineman, with him.
That's a little surprising.
Okay.
Jamie was at Woodstock apparently last year as well. So both of the Mythbusters are going to be there again.
That's cool. Especially because they're not really, like, friends.
They didn't start out that way, but I think they became that way.
Yeah, they're getting along far better now.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, the last thing I read was like, well, you don't really hang outside of work because we see enough of each other kind of deal.
Yeah, they're work wives. Also, you know how Comic-Con tends to have a lot of interesting exclusives on the floor just for no reason other than to make people drool?
Uh-huh.
This kind of qualifies. The company I lose most of my collecting money to, Sideshow Collectibles, the ones who make all those $300 and $400 statues of different comic book and pop culture characters.
Yeah.
Which one's on your list?
It has nothing to do with what's on my list. And I have a pre-order in for something else. Shut up. But they've announced that they're bringing the R2 Me Too project of Comic-Con. Now, R2 Me Too is a reimagining of R2-D2 as done by several artists, but it's not being done on the page. It's being done in 3D format. What they've done is they gave little miniatures of R2-D2 to several artists to stylize whichever way they wanted, and now they're bringing back those stylizations and they're going to put them in the booth at Comic-Con. Some of the artists that have done the R2 Me Too project are Shiflett Brothers, Stanley Lau, Melita Curfey, Bruce Mitchell, Michael Postert, and many others. They were all given a blank slate R2-D2 6-scale figure to design however they see fit. The finished pieces will also be on display at the Star Wars Celebration, but the SDCC blog confirmed with Sideshow that they'll also be making their way to the Comic-Con booth. And they'll be showcased for everyone to take a look at.
Nice.
Let me see. Also, in regards to WonderCon, there will be no fan panels going on inside the Anaheim Convention Center for WonderCon. They're all happening at the Anaheim Marriott instead.
Ah.
You got worried there for a second.
Yeah, no, I was just like, well, what are they doing now then?
Well, I mean, if WonderCon went all, all trade show, that wouldn't be terribly surprising considering the parent company. But as it turns out, they're not abolishing fan panels, they're just moving them. I guess that means they're expanding, technically. And fortunately for you and me, Steve, we're staying at the Anaheim Marriott.
Oh, nice.
It's also been announced that the Nerdist, Chris Hardwick, is going to be hosting a panel at WonderCon. It's supposed to happen on, I think, Friday from the 7:30 to 10 p.m. time slot in room 208. They're teaming up with the Thrilling Adventure Hour people. So there'll be a few things to see. In regards to other convention news, this is kind of skirt convention news, but it'll apply when I explain. The JW Marriott at LA Live, which is about a block from the Los Angeles Convention Center, it's been announced that AEG, that owns the hotel, is adding a new complex across the street and is going to connect the two towers by a bridge. They're adding 755 rooms to the JW Marriott. The new tower is going to be just west of the currently seated Residence Inn on Olympic Boulevard. I've discussed this with a few people who go to Anime Expo, which is, happens down there at the LACC. Some of the more skeptical ones have pointed out that it'll take about 2 to 3 years to finish this tower construction. And then there's one other guy I talked to who was a little afraid that with this new group of hotel rooms, including the Wilshire Grand Tower and this other tower, he's not worried that there will be enough hotel rooms. He's worried that prices will start jacking up if more premium hotel rooms are put in the same square footage. I see both sides of the argument. It could mean that prices will drive down now that there's more availability and more competition. But it could also mean that prices will increase simply because there's one premium hotel now with an expansion hotel. It's also the closest hotel to the convention center. So they could actually jack up prices a little bit. I don't know. There's still a problem when it comes to larger conventions in the hotel space, though. There is really almost nothing nearby. There's 3 buildings, but when you consider some of the larger events at the Los Angeles Convention Center, that's a pain in the ass. Usually involves a lot of walking or a shuttle system.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a Maso Menos type of situation. Long-term comic book writer Mark Miller, he's announced that he's doing a new independent comic series called Jupiter's Circle. It's supposed to be superheroes living and working in the 1950s and 1960s.
That sounds interesting already.
Yeah, I like Mark Miller's writing style. However, I'm going to send you guys the JPEG to the cover. This looks like a joke at the Super Friends. Take a look at that.
Oh, God.
I'm wondering if there's a place for Wendy and Marvin to stand in there. But it does look like a JLA allegory team, which I guess wouldn't be surprising. The 40s and 50s would have been the heyday of like the early JLA comic books. Mark Miller, I'll give anything of his a try. He's the guy who wrote Kick-Ass after all.
The rainbow colors is just...
I know, it's very loud, isn't it?
Not to mention the costumes.
I know. There's a more mundane cover, which I imagine is going to be indicative of the interior art, though. Take a look at that. Still smacks of the older style aesthetics, though.
One Piece's capes all around.
Square jaws, spit curls. cowlicks. Yeah, I'll give it a try. V, question.
Answer.
Okay. Do you think that female characters get good designs in science fiction and comic books?
Frequently, no. At least
Okay.
as far as their costumes go. Well, I mean, they might look aesthetically pleasing, but...
All right, there is a group of female artists. There are a bunch of sci-fi fans. They formed their own art group, and they took it upon themselves to redesign several characters in sci-fi, comic books, and other genres. I'm going to share with you the URL because there's too many pictures if I try to do it piecemeal. Take a look at this. The first one is Princess Peach.
I think I may have seen this.
She looked like she was crossed with something out of the Terminator.
Oh, I dig that.
I always get a Tank Girl vibe from this.
That's a good call. I could see that very much. The next one is Polaris. I don't know if I'd call that an upgrade in a costume.
It doesn't look that much different.
Yeah.
I mean, other than being the colors are different, but...
The metal shards as a weapon is an interesting idea, but it's... I don't know. It's not exactly what I call inspired. The Samus Aran is a very different take on the Zero Suit look.
A lot more practical, but...
Yeah.
Much more practical.
Looks more like a flight suit as opposed to a space suit.
Well, okay. My only problem with this is the Zero suit is supposed to be what she's wearing underneath all the modular armor bits. So if you've already got all of that stuff on there, that's not really the Zero suit anymore. That's modular bits added to the Zero suit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
you can take off all the scrappy things.
I do like the new design, though. It's very nifty.
Yeah.
Underneath that is the Scarlet Witch. I have no idea what to think of that one.
I kind of like it. I kind of don't. She's going for practical with the shoes, but the skirt and the thing that's over top her bra thing I don't know.
I would say it's rather impractical because there's no way that's stopping a bullet.
Yeah.
Getting a real hippie vibe from this.
Hippie or maybe gypsy?
Yeah, I don't.
Well, I know
like
the character's a gypsy, but there's no implication of protection anywhere here.
Yeah.
Keep the sneakers. Get rid of everything else. Well, replace with something else.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think of the next one of Storm?
I like that one.
I like the design. I don't get the lightning bolt in the hair.
Okay, well, I just read the caption for the Scarlet Witch, and she was going for a more Romani family, but with a modern twist. So yeah, that's what happened
Gypsy.
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I just don't agree with the concept. I mean, if you're going to redesign the character, redesign it for all practicality, not just being a 12-year-old gypsy.
Well, to be honest, Storm's had some decent costumes over the years.
Yeah. I do find it amusing that they picked like one of her oldest costumes, not one of the newer, more...
I don't know why you make her tiara as a halter top.
I don't know.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, that sounds...
Well, I mean, I guess it's more regional, considering where she's supposed to be coming from. I mean, they went for the whole goddess look, and that does fit in with that, but...
It's nice, I just wouldn't call it done.
Betty Boop!
Yeah, the one underneath that is Betty Boop. I am not even sure what to think of that.
I can't see... I don't think the actual art is good, personally. Like...
You could use some refinement. Her neck is at an odd angle.
Yeah,
there's...
The person who drew this doesn't understand basic human anatomy. And again, most artists at the time probably don't understand basic human anatomy.
Morrigan?
Yeah, the next one is Morrigan from Dragon Age. I
like
have
this
no
one.
knowledge of this.
I do not like this. This character is basically,
a Witch of the Wild.
Yeah, that's exactly... The new dress does not display that whatsoever.
Yeah,
and does not look more comfortable.
I have no idea. The next one is Chun-Li from Street Fighter. There's things I like and things I don't like about the redesign.
I think the art style itself is a little too cartoony.
It's not the art style per se; it's the design. I understand getting rid of the loincloth tabarns and stuff, changing it with the shorts. I'm okay with.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to decrease the sexiness, why do you suddenly go for a garter belt thigh highs?
Right. I would think pants would make more sense, or like capris or something.
Well, even retain painting like the original full stockings would have made more sense than going for the thigh highs. It's a little bizarre to me.
Yeah, with the garter straps on it. That's got to be a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, most of the redesign is much less flash in the original design. It's more practical. I
like the traditional shorts and everything. It keeps her costume still feeling Chinese.
Yeah.
It still has the hair buns, but of course, that's so recognizable for the character. It still keeps the spiked wrist guards again.
Yeah, most of it I like. It's just those stockings are pulling the whole thing apart for me. I keep staring at it going, why did you take that choice?
She really didn't need it. She could have just had the shorts and had the boots.
Yeah.
Underneath that is the Great Fairy from Zelda Ocarina of Time. I wouldn't really call it a redesign since it's just a different look of the face.
Yeah.
It's a nice face, though.
It's a nice face, but I mean, if your entire design work is just what would it look like if this wasn't run through a N64, then just about anything would have worked.
I'm digging the Emma Frost design.
Yeah.
Yeah, Emma Frost from the X-Men, I actually like the redesign. It's
very
sexy.
regal.
Regal,
it's
yes.
Regal, sexual, and practical. It's all three. For the most part.
Yeah. For the most part. Part of being practical for an attractive woman is showing off.
Just
using your sexual
just
power.
enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we are also talking about a character that, when she has any code name, she goes by the White Queen.
Yeah. It's suiting. Or fitting.
Yeah. The Phoenix one, the Phoenix redesign, it has pluses and minuses for me.
Yeah.
Well, you can expand it on your computer if you click the magnifying glass, but the fact that she's just in a full dress, it's not really a fun redesign. It's just it's the Phoenix with a skirt.
Yeah.
Equally impractical.
I don't really. I mean, it's like, okay, so you made her. She says she opted for more refined, dignified, and powerful, with a hint of a medieval flair. Okay, well, I can see the medieval flair with the design of the dress, but at the same time, I don't know. The Phoenix wasn't regal. She wasn't refined. She wasn't dignified. She was fucking scary.
I would for a redesign of something like this, I would expect maybe something like falling off of her, even maybe like torn or burned.
Let's see, the Red Sonja underneath. I actually like that redesign.
Yeah. It's certainly more practical and more probably accurate.
Yeah, definitely.
I will say it's not as visually interesting, but it's a nice view of a lady warrior. Let me see. Underneath that is the Drow Ranger from Dota 2.
Huh? No.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Next up is Fran from Final Fantasy 12.
Yeah.
Who's arguably the Chewbacca of the game.
Looks almost the same, except wearing more.
Yeah, her bare more has cloth.
Yeah, that's basically the only change, is some kind of armor underneath the primary armor.
I'm not.
Didn't seem like a lot of work into that. Dizzy from Guilty Gear has several different design options to it. Or at least designs taken. It's more of a dress now instead of just a peekaboo.
Yep.
Actually, I think it's a pretty good redesign. The art could use a little more work, but it works in concept, I think. I don't quite get the steel band corset.
The Drow Ranger doesn't seem much different.
They cover more.
I can't see it from the front. I've never actually...
It seems to be the same as Fran. They just added armor where there was no armor. The design underneath of Gamora, I'm a little lost on that one.
Basically, she's a ninja now.
No, she looks more like an escaped prisoner. It looks like a prison jumpsuit.
It also looked like she's the roughest action figure I've ever seen. I don't think anything would walk like that. I tell you what, though, the redesign of Lady Death they put up here, I adore this. One by Heather Hudson, that's a good look.
Huh.
She actually looks more like a Nordic death goddess like she's supposedly written. Nariko from Heavenly Sword, I don't have much context in this one.
I like the design, though. I have neither.
Yeah. A redesign of her would not be difficult. She's basically a bunch of leather straps and a little bit of white cloth.
And now she's wearing actual pants and stuff. It looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next one's an oldie, Hero Test from Record of the Lotus War.
Yeah, but I mean, part of her thing was, the seductress, so she got in to kill you. But
yeah.
I don't know.
I
The
do
redesign
like
isn't
the
bad.
armor.
Yeah, I do like the armor. I think it actually fits in with the anime style too.
Yeah, it's a good look and a good color palette. Underneath that, by Tora Stark, is a redesign of Power Girl. All I can say about this is I would like to see this in a comic book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I like the jacket, but I'm not sure why.
It's the best redesign I've ever seen because the jacket's a good stand-in for the cape. And everything else, it's actually the best Power Girl design I've ever seen that doesn't involve a boob window.
Yeah. I have to say that I love the little computer on symbol on
Yeah,
the
yeah. I was gonna
Yeah,
comment
that's
on that.
so...
It's a power.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah.
And it's also on her chest. Okay.
Yep.
As an
Well,
alternate
the
shirt.
design-
Gotcha.
Yeah, the design option. The 7 of 9 redesign,
I don't
quite
like
know what
it.
to say about that.
I appreciate that they're trying to be more practical, but I also don't think... I don't know, it doesn't look right.
I don't know. I got used to the skin tight thing. I could say use upgrades. Next up is the Star Sapphire redesign. I didn't like that one.
Well, let's be honest. With the way the Star Sapphire's powers work, it doesn't need to be practical.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not arguing for the sake of practicality. I'm just arguing the pencil skirt mini dress.
Yeah.
I don't like the design.
I don't
I'm not even
understand.
sure that's
It's
a
like I
dress.
can pilot an F-18 Hornet. I'm wearing the damn miniskirt. What? I don't understand. Is that a direct quote from the character? I don't.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Tarna from Heavy Metal. Man, I haven't seen that in a long time.
Dude, Heavy Metal. You can't redesign Heavy Metal. It was meant to be fucking stupid. You were meant to watch that on a drug trip.
It was not an intelligent cartoon by most stretches. The redesign is okay. I don't have an issue with it, but it's another one of these characters that had so little to begin with. Adding a strip of cloth is a complete redesign here. And last up is Tail Novellic from EverQuest 2. I don't have a basis in that.
Nope, neither do I.
I can understand that some things are just impractical and not very intelligent to wear. However, going from what it was to this rather, kind of boring singlet thing, you got to put more into it than that.
Yeah.
Well, apparently it's more of a mage robe type thing since she's supposed to be a necromancer.
I can understand that, but you can still put enough on a mage robe to make it visually appealing. In this case, it just looked like a brown and gray shirt.
Right. I think the thing there is that most necromancers try to hide what they are, so you don't want to make it too much of a standout.
Maybe. It doesn't work for me. I have 10 comic book moments that drew unwanted controversy.
Oh.
Okay.
This is a list from listverse.com. It was done by Morris M. And the first one on this list, number 10 on this list of comic book moments that drew unwanted controversy is something we've gone over. Batgirl's transgender villain.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Quote, since the New 52 line rebooted DC's internal continuity, Batgirl has become known as something of a progressive hero. Under Gail Simone, the comic introduced a progressive transgender character and took an incredibly relaxed attitude to all things LGBT. It also approached storylines with a youthful, campy vibe with villains like Daggertype, a Batgirl doppelganger who dresses glamorously, and name drops Kanye West. When the new writers came to unmask Daggertype, they revealed that the character is male. Batgirl reacts with shock, and Daggertype suddenly shows new villainy. Although it seems Daggertype was intended to be a parody of self-important performance artists, the reveal still angered some people. Readers saw the evil man in a wig as a throwback to outdated transgender stereotypes. Others felt betrayed at the change in direction. Still others thought it was a funny piece of camp and couldn't quite see what the fuss was about. Nonetheless, the creative team acknowledged a negative reaction. A few days after the issue premiered, they issued an apology, unquote. I was in the latter camp. I didn't see this as a knock against transgenders. It was just somebody shocked to find out a woman was actually a dude. Number 9 on the list was Sam Wilson seemingly having sex with a minor.
Sam Wilson.
Quote,
Okay.
The Falcon.
Yeah.
Quote, Captain America number 22 featured a scene where Sam Wilson, a.k.a. Falcon, sleeps with Jet Zola, a superhero who'd recently spent 12 years living in Dimension Z. Jet was described as just an infant when she went off to Dimension Z. Fans did the math and wound up feeling severely grossed out. In the resulting furor, columnists called for Rick Remender to be fired and for Marvel titles to be boycotted. They'd forgotten that superhero comics sometimes have very complicated timelines. Thanks to her time in Dimension Z, Jet had aged much faster in 12 years than the other characters. In the comic's internal timeline, she was now in her mid-20s, making a dalliance with Sam Wilson her business and nobody else's. Remender revealed this with a reference to Jet's 23rd birthday, unquote. These are all moments that drew unwanted controversy or things people just kind of flipped out over for no reason. The next one is not something I'm familiar with from the 99. The anti-extremist 99 get mistaken for extremists. Quote, in 2006, Kuwaiti comics publisher Teshkil Media premiered the 99, featuring 99 Islamic superheroes who joined forces from all over the world. It quickly became immensely popular, spawning an animated TV series, theme park, and movie. 4 years later, it even got an official crossover with DC Comics, in issues featuring Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. But when the animated series finally came to the U.S., not everyone was happy. Several organizations called for it to be banned, claiming it was intended to indoctrinate children into hardline Sharia beliefs. Naif al-Muatwa actually dreamed the 99 up specifically to tackle Muslim extremism. According to a PBS interview, al-Mutawa got fed up with a cult of suicide bombers and jihadists in the West Bank and decided to create some moderate Muslim heroes for local kids to believe in. He even modeled one of the biggest villains on Osama bin Laden, a move that later got him marked for assassination by ISIS. So people freaked out just because we heard that there was a cartoon coming with Muslim superheroes and said this is going to promote Sharia beliefs without actually viewing it, it sounds like. How American.
Yep.
Item number 7 is something we've talked about and joked about. Alex DeWitt's refrigerator fate. Quote, back in the 1990s, Green Lantern replacement Kyle Rayner was in need of some tragic backstory. Like Batman seeing his parents killed, DC gave Rayner a gruesome reason for fighting the good fight. The decision spelled the end for Rayner's girlfriend, Alex DeWitt. After appearing in only a handful of issues, DeWitt found herself being interrogated by Major Force about the identity of the new Green Lantern. One thing led to another, and before readers knew what was happening, Major Force had murdered DeWitt, chopped up her body into tiny pieces, and stuffed her in Rayner's refrigerator.
Wow.
That's kind of brutal.
Well, there's a reason why people don't, it's like one of the most horrible things is to be a superhero's significant other.
But it goes on. Plenty of readers were exceedingly angry by what they saw as yet another example of a female character being made to suffer purely as a plot point. The issue even caused future Batgirl writer Gail Simone to coin the term women in refrigerators as a way of calling out this cliche. When she posted a list of over 90 female characters who had suffered similarly gruesome fates to her website, the term stuck. Even today, it's still far from uncommon to hear the phrase getting used to describe a similar storyline. This was likely the last outcome the writers were expecting from their brutal twist, unquote. Number 6 was something I'd never heard of, but I was immensely curious about. The fate of all the black Kryptonians. What? I didn't know there were black Kryptonians. Quote, although it was famously blown to bits when Superman was just a kid, planet Krypton was still seen fairly frequently in the comics, as are its inhabitants. When the new Krypton storyline ran in 2009, it featured over 100,000 Kryptonians arriving on Earth as refugees. This highlighted something that had never previously seemed an issue, the lack of non-white Kryptonians seen over the years. When fans did some digging, they found the fate of black Kryptonians had been answered way back in 1971. They'd all been sent to live on a separate planet. Separate island. In issue 239 was a special giant edition that came with a bonus map of Krypton. Included on the map was Vathlo Island, complete with the legend home of a highly advanced black race. Those who read on would have discovered Krypton's black inhabitants had retained their independence throughout history and had not joined the Planetary Federation. Although Superman 239 passed unremarked at the time, it caused a minor ruckus when the information reemerged. Mainly, it just made everyone involved feel incredibly embarrassed, unquote.
Yeah?
Segregation on Krypton, who knew? Okay, number 5, I'm clueless on and I need explanation. Spider-Man sexual abuse revelations.
What?
Quote, as part of their massive PSA comics drive, Marvel released Spider-Man and Power Pack in 1984. Its purpose? To teach kids all about the horrifying reality of sexual abuse. But this wasn't just some slick story about Spider-Man punching a pedophile into repentance. Instead, the writers had Peter Parker reveal that he'd been molested. The story revolves around Spidey trying to help an abused kid pluck up the courage to talk to the authorities. As part of his pep talk, Spider-Man mentions that he used to have an older friend called Skip. At some point, Skip showed young Peter Parker a porn magazine he had lying around and got Peter to touch him like the people in the magazine. Young Peter worked up the courage to tell his aunt and uncle, and in the end, everything worked out. The story ends with the abused boy following Spidey's advice, and Peter realizes that talking about his experiences helped him overcome a dark chapter in his past. While most fans accepted Spider-Man's talking about serious issues, Power Pack made them livid by casually rewriting Peter's backstory in such a way. Even worse, the incident was never mentioned again in any media, despite being an official storyline, unquote. Wow, Peter Parker's been molested. I know, it's kind of hard to find a funny in that. Number 4, I'm also clueless on, Miss Marvel's abuse. Quote, in 1980, Marvel's The Avengers reached its milestone 200th issue. To mark this momentous event, the writers decided to pull out all the stops and write the most epic storyline in Marvel history. It would be a dimension-crossing love story that referenced Shakespeare, ancient myth, and modern sci-fi. The grand celebration would feature the very best in the Marvel Universe. It would also feature Miss Marvel getting raped. The notorious storyline starts with Miss Marvel becoming pregnant and giving birth in a mere 3 days. Her son, Marcus, then grows to become an adult male in no time. That's when things get sticky. Marcus reveals himself to be the son of the villain Immortus from an alternate reality called Limbo. Trapped in Limbo after his father deserted him, Marcus decided to escape to Earth by impregnating a human woman, allowing him to be reborn in our reality. The woman he chose was Miss Marvel, and the method he chose to impregnate her was mind control. In their efforts to write an unusual love story, the writers accidentally wrote one where Miss Marvel gets assaulted while under the cosmic equivalent of Rohypnol. They then had her fall in love with her son/rapist. The comic caused so much outrage that Marvel was forced to write a special storyline just 1 year later, undoing all their damage, unquote.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's more than a bit freaky. That I don't think I even want to look that one up.
Pass. Next.
Okay, the Muslim Batman. Number 3 on this list of the 10 most unintentionally unwanted controversies. Quote, one of Grant Morrison's big contributions to Batman lore was the creation of Batman Incorporated, a global crime-fighting network with substitute Batmen chosen from all over the world. It featured members from Britain, Australia, and Japan. When the writer David Hine came to extend Morrison's concept to France, he dreamed up the parkour-loving Night Runner. He named his alter ego Bilal Asela, and decided he came from a French-Algerian country, or a French-Algerian family. Critics felt that DC had shoehorned in a Muslim character just to be politically correct. In their eyes, Catholic France could just as easily been represented by a Christian crime fighter. Some even went further, claiming that Night Runner was intended to push a Muslim extremist agenda. The reaction caused a counter-reaction on the other side of the political spectrum. Supporters of Batman Incorporated's new recruit responded by saying French Muslims were every bit as French as their countrymen, and accused the anti-Night Runner set of racism. Others pointed out the storyline dealt with these issues head-on, and those who read it would understand Hine's choice perfectly, unquote. It's another case of people making an assumption before they actually picked it up and tried it.
Yeah.
Number 2 is an item I didn't like personally. Uncanny Avengers and the M word. Quote, for decades...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Quote, for decades, Marvel had been using their superheroes as an allegory for oppressed minorities. The X-Men have, at different times, been deliberately used to parallel the civil rights and gay movements. In 2013, Uncanny Avengers number 5 even included a direct nod to this heritage when Havoc made a speech concluding with the words, "Please don't call us mutants. The M word represents everything I hate." Writer Rick Remender later claimed that Havoc was trying to make people stop seeing a mutant and start seeing a person. Not many readers saw it that way. Many read that speech as an explicit rejection of minority identity. By discarding the term mutant and not replacing it with anything else, they felt that Havoc was rejecting not just his heritage, but the idea of any minority heritage. Because of the way Havoc's speech was worded, it seemed as if the writer was encouraging assimilation rather than the celebration of different identities. He only added to the controversy when he told complainers to, quote, drown yourself in hobo piss, unquote.
Okay.
I remember reading that issue. I didn't get assimilation out of it. I just kind of took it as, taking a word I thought meant power and just turning it into a minority slur, more or less.
Yeah. Jesse, I think you have yourself muted.
Okay, there we go.
I just, I read the storyline. I didn't like the speech. I understood the premise of it, though. I see it just as an excuse for assimilation. I don't understand that.
Because people are willing to take any form of written or, if it doesn't suit their needs, change it.
Pretty much. We talked about that story. People will discard fact and just pick up whatever fiction supports their viewpoint.
Right, or they'll just read far more into something than is necessary or intended.
Take it out of context.
Yeah. And the last part of this list of 10 comic book moments that drew unwanted controversy. The number 1 on this list, not something I was familiar with. Wonder Woman's ultra-violent backstory. Quote, Wonder Woman is unique for a Golden Age hero in that she's both female and an unbelievable ass-kicker. Her creator, William Moulton Marston, publicly stated that he conceived the character as a psychological propaganda for the new type of woman who should, I believe, rule the world. Part of her feminist backstory has always been that she was raised by Amazons in a culture focused on positive female empowerment. Then the New 52 range came along, and the writers made her origins grittier. This included making changes to the Amazons that outraged fans. In the new version, Wonder Woman's Amazonian culture sells its unwanted boys into slavery or kills them if no buyer is available. It also revealed that Amazons got pregnant by sleeping with human sailors, who they then murder and dump in the sea. For fans, this was a betrayal of everything Wonder Woman stood for. While the writers were simply trying to make their storylines mirror Greek myths, many readers felt they were presenting feminism as nothing more than oppressing and hurting men. Despite that not being their intention, they still managed to anger a lot of people. Quote.
Well, what they did is historically accurate to a Greek myth, but
I think it's more accurate to the Spartan myth, but it seems more like Greek history. It doesn't seem like they're purposefully saying women bad. Watch out! As soon as they make love to you, they kill you.
Well, I think Superman's safe.
I don't know. They may have vaginas of steel. I have another list here, and we're going to move on into anime and Japan news. And I have a list here of the 15 weirdest Super Sentai giant robots.
Oh boy.
Yeah, most of these are the original Japanese names, so if you don't hear me say Power Rangers a lot, please don't be surprised. The list was on IO9 per James Whitbrook. Number 15 on the list was Goggle Robo. Quote, Goggle Robo in and of itself isn't actually that weird of a Super Sentai mecha. It's one of the many very traditional mechs in the series that essentially is just a humanoid mecha carrying a sword and a shield. But it's on here for the mechs it's made up of. Goggle Jet, Goggle Tank, and Goggle Dump. Pity poor Goggle Yellow, the team member forced to pilot Goggle Dump. His partner's a jet and a tank, while he has to sit there driving a vehicle that does little other than be the legs of Goggle Robo in something named after a euphemism for pooping that can't be professionally satisfying.
I'm assuming it's like a dump truck or something.
I don't have
Are there
words.
pictures with this? Yeah, I think I need a little bit of context with this.
There isn't a good picture really here. Let me see if I can find one. Here we go. Here's Goggle Dump. There it is. Doesn't look like much.
Whoa.
It is.
That looks kind of like a, I don't know, kind of like a moon vehicle or, a probe or something.
I don't know, but it even has in bright black letters, Goggle Dump on it. Goggle Dump sounds like a San Francisco sex move. Let's see. Number 14 on this list of the weirdest Super Sentai robots is Zyuite Daizuzin. Zyuite Daizuzin. It actually is the one that was used in the original Power Rangers. Quote, hang on, this might look a bit familiar to you. Yes, it's the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Mega Dragon Zord. The Zyuite Daizuzin was a combination of two mecha from Zyuranger. The Daizuzin, or Megazord to us, and the Dragon Caesar, the Dragon Zord. It's kind of a cool idea to mush two big mecha together into one, but the Zyuite Daizuzin just ends up looking like the original Daizuzin is wearing Dragon Caesar as a funny hat.
I remember that.
Number 13 on the list is Muteki Shogun. The series was Ninja Sentai Kaku Ranger. Quote, there have been many different themes for each Super Sentai teams over the years. Pirates, ninjas, mages, dinosaurs, it goes on. And as you can guess by the name, this team had a ninja theme. So did they have a ninja-style mecha? No. They had one that combined into a giant walking feudal Japanese castle. It's even got roofs and everything. Wow, that sounds so menacing, don't you? I'm going to kick your ass. Summon the castle! Number 12 on the list is the Jet Icarus / Icarus Haken from Chojin Sentai Jetman. Quote, once again, Jet Icarus itself isn't that weird of a mecha. It's Icarus Haken that takes the cake. An alternate form of the combined robot, Icarus Haken was a vaguely bird-shaped triangular wedge of mechs remade as a flying vehicle that defeated foes by turning into a giant flaming phoenix and flying straight through their chests. Why would you use the robot form when you could just do that all the time? Unquote. The next one is very easy for me to say. Turbo Robo from Kosoku Sentai Turbo Ranger. Quote, upon first glance, Turbo Robo seems fairly ordinary, until you realize it can't actually walk. Fitting in with the car theme of the show, Turbo Robo's feet are made up of Blue Turbo and Yellow Turbo's Jeep and Buggy, essentially turning it into a giant skating robot. One of its finishing moves was to literally hold its sword out and drive straight into its enemy while standing perfectly stationary. That's fantastic.
Yep, I remember that.
I'm clueless and I don't care. Number 10 on the list is Magical Train Trevelyan Express from Maho Sentai Magiranger. Quote, Super Sentai trains. They were bound to show up at some point. The Trevelyan Express was just one of several team mechs in Magiranger, but it was pretty crazy. The train could transform into the amazingly named Magical Iron God Trevelyan, a mecha that could shoot a giant cannon from its chest, fire steam bazookas from its head, and also release smaller trains out of its legs. Trainception, unquote. Number 9 on the list of the 15 weirdest Super Sentai robots was a Baron O from Byaku Sentai Aba Ranger. Quote, how does a Baron O manipulate objects? One of its hands is a giant drill. The other, the head of a Triceratops. Don't get me wrong, this is extremely awesome, but it's also ridiculously absurd, unquote. I'm looking at a picture of it. Its two hands are a drill and a Triceratops head.
Show us.
Please.
Please?
There we go. We've been working on potty training. There we go. I sent it.
Oh, okay. I remember this series.
You know what? The was it Getter 2's transformation is more useful than this thing.
Yeah, I have to say, the Triceratops head, you could think, okay, well, at least it could grab things with the mouth. But that arm is like the stubbiest thing I've ever seen. And then it's got this super long, I'm thinking drill arm, so it's like an arm with a drill where the fish should be. No. No, this is like this fucking long-ass just... I can't even call it a drill. It looks like it's the tail off of something.
Tail. Yeah, it was the tail of the red one.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, the Triceratops arm could just be bent at the elbow. It could just be bad perspective.
Yeah, that's possible, but even still, it looks far shorter.
Well, if I recall correctly from the show, the arms were a bit modular. You can actually replace them with other Zords.
Yeah, like that makes it any more sane.
Yeah.
Number 8 on this list is Gao King from Hakyuju Sentai Gao Ranger. Quote, the same goes for the slightly earlier Gao King, who was arguably even more extreme than a mecha with a drill and a dinosaur for hands, because it had a shark's head for one hand and a white tiger for the other. Gao King was big on having multiple faces all over its body, considering it also had its actual head and then a giant lion face for a torso, unquote.
Yeah, I remember seeing this one too.
That almost sounds like a threat in itself. Don't make me use the shark hand. Number 7 is Kaizoku Gatai Gokayo from Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger. Wow, I slaughtered that one. Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger. Well, you know how I said earlier Super Sentai teams have unifying themes? Sometimes they lean into those themes a bit. Sometimes, as they did on Gokaiger's pirate theme, they lean hard. Gokayo not only had a jaunty pirate hat, robots wearing hats is and always will be the best, but one of the finishing moves was to whip out a giant deck cannon from his chest that would proceed to fire infinite cannonballs at its enemies until they exploded. I'm surprised it didn't go around singing sea shanties and yelling, let's see, we have number 6 is Beast Fist Giant Geki Toha from Juken Sentai Geki Ranger. God, that name was a fucking mouthful. Quote, once again, on the surface, Geki Toha looks quite normal, but when it attacks, it suddenly becomes very weird. Casting its usual bow staff aside, Geki Toha attacked by spinning either its upper half or its legs at lightning speed, basically either drilling into foes with its legs or furiously slapping them to death. The thing is, the spinning attacks were activated by the Geki Rangers themselves, spinning in circles inside the mech, which in itself would start spinning around at high speeds. If they didn't have some sort of internal dampener, I sure hope they had a Geki bucket on hand for them.
Or hope no one tripped.
So they invented the Disney teacup attack.
I thought it was a pirouette bot. Number 5 on the list is Mythical Chi Warrior Ryusei-O from Gosei Sentai Dai Ranger. Quote, Ryu Ranger's Dragon Chi Beast Mecha could also transform into a humanoid robot form, which in and of itself is fairly plain. But again, what makes Warrior Ryusei's weird is the fact that its very secret super special ability was that it could rotate its hand. Armed with a staff, Warrior Ryusei-O would spin his hand at the wrist so furiously to turn the staff into a spinning stick of death. I mean, its super attack was called the Super Certain Kill, Heavenly Great Windmill, for Christ's sake.
Okay.
And then, believe it or not, number 4 on the list is from the same series, Heavy Armor Chi Palace. But wait, there's more Dai Ranger madness. Warrior Ryusei-O and the other transformed Chi Beasts could combine with Eternal-esque Daimugen to form a giant Robo-Turtle litter. The combined form was so monstrously heavy that it defeated enemies by flying up high, using Ryusei-O's spinning staff as a surprisingly effective propeller, and then dropping itself on top of its opponents, crushing them to death.
Wow.
Wow, indeed.
So its special move is I sit on you.
Yep.
Number 3 on the list of the 15 weirdest Super Sentai giant robots is Grand Liner from Kyuku Sentai Go-Go 5. Quote, another train mecha, but unlike Trevelyan, Grand Liner had train carriages for feet, which meant it largely had to operate on train tracks to be effective. At least Turbo Robo could go anywhere with its car feet. On top of that, Grand Liner was so huge that the power it generated emitted electromagnetic waves that seriously harmed the Go-Go 5 without training to resist the effects. Who makes a mecha that actively harms its pilots when they use it, unquote?
Escafoni?
Good answer.
Number 2 on this list is Magifairy from Maho Sentai Magiranger. Quote, Magifairy, the personal mecha of Magipink, seems ordinary at first. But when the Magiranger's team-up performs its Magishoot attack, it could be transformed into a giant ball, which the rest of the team would proceed to bounce around between each other before hurling at the enemy, while Magipink was still inside. Seems like kind of a dick move, unquote.
Equality.
Seriously. Speaking of, the last one on this list of the 15 weirdest Super Sentai robots according to IO9 is the Resha Gatai Toko from Resha Sentai Toger? T-O-Q-G-E-R. Quote, oh geez, last year's Sentai series was once again train themed. Like Grand Liner, Toko had trains for its feet again. Some Sentai teams don't learn from their predecessors' mistakes in its mecha design. But aside from the fact that the robot looks bad, less of a combination that it is the team's individual train smushed together with a head on top, there was also the case of this rather naughty-looking attack. It's meant to be a gun, but basically, yeah, that's a straight-up giant robot boner, unquote.
Whoa.
That I have an image of.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, fine.
This is supposed to be, I assume, a train attack that's supposed to ram into the enemy, but it does look like I'm going to hit you with my train dick.
Oh, my.
Oh, wow.
That placement isn't...
I did not need to see that.
I don't know. It's no worse than the old Transor Z show where he popped out this giant missile out of, pretty much the same location.
I have a question.
Mm.
Do you suppose that train is rocketing out, or do you think he has to thrust that forward to do damage?
I don't know. But he definitely is probably a little frustrated given what his hands are.
I'm going to have to look this up later just to see how this attack works. I'm now immensely curious.
Oh, God.
Last bit of anime in Japan news I have is that in reference to our homage videos, there's actually a live-action fan film that surfaced of Naruto Shippuden.
Okay.
Let me see. I have the opening scene, which is 3 minutes long, or the complete film, which is 20 minutes long. I assume we'll just want the opening scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I sent it. Ooh, look, trees. Never seen that in Naruto before.
I assume that's sarcastic.
More than a bit. Actually, it looks like Angeles National Forest.
Someplace in California.
I've never seen Naruto, of course, so...
Oh, you might actually be surprised by this then.
Well, I see somebody standing pensively.
Oh, no, who that is.
Somebody's flipping a kunai. They're all speaking Japanese, too, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah? Do they usually speak English?
Depends on whether or not you like subbed or dubbed. It's a very pensive video, surprisingly. The farewell to youth ceremony. That strike any references to anybody?
No.
Grew up into ninja?
Yeah. The series is basically based on the idea that it's in this alternative world where ninja armies are the standing militaries. People are trained as kids to become the ultimate ninjas. It's more of a lifestyle than it is a career path. I must admit, this is striking the right kind of tone.
I wonder if that's supposed to be Neji and Hinata.
I don't know. Hinata doesn't strike me as the one to be just throwing kunai into a tree, though. No, this does make me curious to actually watch the 20-minute fan film.
Yeah.
You know what, maybe this is Neji and Tenten. She'd be the one to throw kunai like crazy.
Yeah, but she doesn't have... I don't think she has these issues about... Oh, maybe it is.
I don't know, I'd like to see their faces and get a full idea of what they look like. Unfortunately, it has that very anime thing of focusing on their faces. Or, not their faces, their jaws. Oh yeah, that's Tenten.
Possibly Tenten? Yeah.
Yep.
Tenten and Neji.
Okay, yeah, I'm curious enough as an old Naruto fan to watch this now. At least I know what I'm doing after the show.
What's up with his eyes?
He has the an eye seal that allows him to see special shit.
You can see flow.
Yeah.
That was pretty nifty, I must admit.
It's fairly high quality.
I'll be honest, I'm kind of glad they didn't go with their usual uniforms from the show.
Actually, that was pretty much standard.
That was pretty close, yeah.
And I'm watching some of this stuff at the end, and they've got Naruto versus Guy, or I'm sorry, Lee, and yeah, no, that.
The color palette was a little darker, but that looked pretty much like what I remember from the show.
Yeah. Well, no, Neji usually had the white shirt and the
this
pants,
must be
short pants, and whatnot. But this is when they're older, I think. So it's the Shippuden, not the original Naruto. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, from there we'll move into general nerd interest news. I didn't know Jackie Chan had invented a new Chinese language character.
He did?
Okay.
Jackie Chan actually invented a new Chinese language character called Duang, D-U-A-N-G. I sent you an image. It doesn't look much different from a lot of other kanji stylings out there.
I couldn't tell you.
According to a BBC report, this has appeared over 8 million times already and is claimed the most popular hashtag on Weibo, China's version of Twitter. The theory to the origin dates back about 10 years. According to the story, quote, it all seems to have started with Hong Kong actor Jackie Chan, who in 2004 was featured in a shampoo commercial where he famously defended his sleek black hair using the rhythmical-sounding guang. The word resurfaced again recently after Chan posted on his Weibo page. Thousands of users began to flood Chan's Weibo page with comments pointing the word in reference to his infamous shampoo appearance. The word appears to have many different meanings, and there's no perfect translation, but you could use it as an effective adjective to give emphasis to the word that follows it. A kitten might be Duang cute, for example, or you might be very Duang confused by this blog, unquote.
So, he's turned into a Smurf.
Sounds like the only word... the way you describe how it has no proper translation sounds like our version of the word fuck. Since we can use it as any part of the sentence.
Yeah.
Except that fuck is pretty translatable.
Yeah, and his version is definitely more positive.
Yeah.
Also in general nerd interest news, there's a story on IO9 by Esther Inglis Arkell that says that scientists have made bullets out of light.
So, lasers?
Lasers?
Yeah, but not exactly. You know how lasers are typically beams. They've apparently made a pulse laser of light that's continuously refocusing on itself. In other words, they made a small light wave that was turning itself inward and recompacting. And it makes you wonder how far we are from those blaster scenes in Star Wars.
Advanced warfare.
Well, I don't know. If you consider the way stormtroopers shoot, there wasn't much advanced about that.
There was pointing in a general direction.
It does mean interesting things for the future, but it could also be applied to communication. If we can send light waves that can hold information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's see. There's also a story that's out that says that bacteria can refuel via microscopic tubes when times get tough. Apparently, bacteria can actually share vital nutrients if their bacterial neighbors happen to have a surplus.
Huh.
And who knew bacteria get along better than Americans do?
I
mean, Congress would hate this. That's socialism in action right there. But apparently, bacteria are often cooperative symbionts with themselves. You know, not to what they're infecting, but just among their own community. I wouldn't have pictured that, actually. What is interesting, though, is that Macross Plus may be happening sooner than we ever considered.
Really?
Yeah, the director of the Pentagon's Advanced Research Arm, DARPA, their name is Arati Prakbar, has revealed a breakthrough in machine mind control. Jan Schwerman is a 55-year-old quadriplegic woman with electrodes in her brain, and she was able to fly a simulation of an F-35 fighter jet using nothing but thought waves.
Nice. Nice. The future is here.
She didn't actually fly a plane, but that means a lady with no arms and legs could, technically, if they're wired into the plane, be capable of flying it. And she wasn't quadriplegic due to an accident. This is because of a hereditary genetic disease.
Oh.
But she was able to fly the plane. Or fly the sim. Now all we need is a rogue AI who takes over everybody with singing, and our whole world is fucked.
Japan's got something close to it.
Oh God, Hatsune Miku flying a plane? Kill me now. Just kill me. I have an interesting URL to share with you guys, also from IO9. Vince Miklos shared a photo montage of buildings all built around trees.
Huh.
Interesting.
I know, not what you were expecting. Like I said, too many pictures, so I'll just send you the URL. There you go. Some of these I would actually really like to have as a place of residence. The smaller house in Burlingame, California, I would not like. That's a bit too dinky for my needs. You know, let alone I could picture 3 kids having some very horrible accidents up that high.
They'd adapt.
The one in Guatemala City, Guatemala. I like that design.
I like all of these. I want them all. I
like
would
how
never
the
be able to
Guatemalan
keep it
has,
this
like,
clean, but I would want them all.
Oh, Steve seen me work. I could.
Ooh, the glass-walled one is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Guatemalan one, I think.
No, that's in Kazakhstan.
Oh, okay. I see it. Wow.
Yeah, that one's crazy.
That'd be the perfect place to hide from the zombie apocalypse, wouldn't it?
The mirror cube.
Just look around and see nothing. What about the glass walled? The 4-story one in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, okay. Got to that one. The mirror cube is just wow. The Kazakhstan one though.
The glass tower is freaky. Anytime somebody walked by, it would stand there making fish faces.
I don't know. I just remember the cabin that my brother owned up in Truckee, and it had these giant picturesque windows that you could look out of when you're taking a bath. But anytime I was in there, I was just like, okay, I can look out. That definitely means other people can look in. It was just such an uncomfortable feeling.
You know what though? If I ever take a New Zealand vacation, I would go to this Yellow Treehouse restaurant thing. Take a look at that. That would be a romantic night. That would be hard to match.
Yeah.
Man, that wicker
awesome.
that wicker effect would just be crazy.
Yeah. I also have something from Imager. There was an artist from D Young Entertainment who released concept design trying to redesign the logos of all 32 NFL teams.
Okay.
He has an interesting aesthetic, although he uses the same technique a lot, which is oversized logos on the side of the head.
Huh.
The Denver Broncos one is a bit of a throwback. That might be a bit too obnoxious for a single helmet. The one for the Cleveland Browns, I don't know how I feel about that thing staring at me all the time.
It would definitely be
right.
more intimidating than the team.
Oh!
Damn, Steve.
What about the Dolphins, man? I look at that helmet design and all I can hear is the theme from Miami Vice.
Oh, wow. Orange.
That is loud. Very. What's with the New York Giants one? Why do they get to be the red, white, and blue?
Because
I don't know.
like the
Better
Patriots?
than the Patriots.
Let's see. The San Francisco one is bold. The Houston Oilers. How fucking old is this list? Then again, I guess it's better being an Oiler than a Tennessee Titan.
Carolina Panthers doesn't really look too different.
Now, the Rams is very different, but the way it's finished looks like a pool ball. I'm actually kind of confused. I didn't think he'd be bold enough to actually give the Washington Redskins a redesign.
Why not? They still exist.
For now. I like the Saints one. It's very simple.
Yep.
Seahawks with that green is just like...
Oh, yeah.
You can find that at the bottom of a pool. Jesus Christ.
You know, it's better than the Dolphins.
What about the Steelers? It looks like a bowling ball.
Yeah.
I like to put the nickel plate texture on the actual colors.
I know, but the 3 diamonds on there in the black finish, it literally looks like you should take this off and throw a strike. He's got some interesting ideas. Don't like all of them, but You know, it's Mas o menos. Last bit I have in nerd interest news is that they've been saying that Carly Rae Jepsen may have finally come out with a song that's even more catchy than her previous "Call Me Maybe."
Oh my!
She's released a single called "I Really Like You," and the reason why I decided to put it here, I know Carly Rae Jepsen and music is not generally what we talk about, but the entire video stars Tom Hanks.
Okay.
It's kind of odd because it's him. It looks like he goes through an entire day lip syncing to the video.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send it to you so you guys can take a look. Starts off with Tom Hanks waking up at 5 in the morning for no ungodly reason. You better be paid well for this.
Tom Hanks got a real good sense of humor.
I think he's got enough awards, accolades, and money where he doesn't have to give a shit about his image anymore. He's just going to do what he feels like.
I'm just reminded of the Simpsons movie where he's like, well, the American government has run out of... how did he rephrase it?
sing on the street is just a little disturbing.
Fist bumping.
High five. Yep, proof that Tom Hanks is the whitest man in New York.
Signing the paddle, yes.
Yep. Where do you produce the ball from?
Right?
Say the music I liked, I could really care less about the lyrics.
Meh.
Well, it's Carly Rae Jepsen. You know, I expect her to produce something catchy. I don't expect her to produce something thought-provoking.
Yeah, exactly that.
You know, this is the first time I've heard of this artist.
She's the one who produced Call Me Maybe like a couple of years ago. It took over the summer.
I haven't listened to the radio in years, so...
No, I mean,
you have heard Call Me
played,
Maybe.
You've heard it.
You have heard it. There's no way.
You would have heard it somewhere in a commercial or something.
I skipped through the commercials.
I like the Call Me Ganga mashup that was put out was a couple summers ago. And there he is approving the script, and there he is saying TMZ, screw you. I don't quite know what the purpose of this is, but I could see myself listening to this just to continue my day. Goodness knows it's got to be more thought-provoking than anything Justin Bieber's ever done.
I would
Are they still contesting his residency?
No, he had to rent another house because he's hit like the third or fourth neighborhood of people that basically told you you're too much of a fucking annoyance, get out. So he had to move out of Beverly Hills to another place.
I was referring to the country's still contesting his residency.
Well, we keep searching, but nobody's ever convicted him on anything yet, so it's kind of fucking annoying. Little bastard's slippier than a mob don.
He probably has a great lawyer.
This is the same lawyer who argued that Lindsay Lohan doing plays in Europe should be considered part of her community service, so I don't think that's the case. It does seem like Hanks is just having too much
Dude
fun
on
with
the
himself.
right.
I'm not sure. I think that might be the Canadian lesbian himself.
No, I don't think so. I think Justin Bieber looks different, but
Different how?
I just remember him looking different.
Okay.
I don't know.
I
I don't
think it might be. I
exactly
wasn't
pay
sure about
attention
that.
to Justin Bieber, so.
Okay. Well, our last section of news is our What the Fuck corner. We talk about those stories on the internet that just freaking confound us. Unfortunately, a lot of things this week
I
keep
missed
circling back
one
to Star
last
Trek.
week.
What?
So apparently this home in Oregon was stolen overnight. The only thing that was remaining was the foundation, and no one knows what happened to it.
How is that possible?
Damned if I know, but it happened literally overnight. It was I believe it was a log house.
Okay, so it's one of those neighborhoods where the neighbors are like a mile apart. And
yeah. Well, it's Oregon, so but it was a town of like, I think they said either 30 or 60,000 people. I mean, it's not huge, but it's still a pretty large thing. But we don't know how spread out that is. No, Merced's bigger than that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so none of the neighbors, nobody knows anything about it. They're still looking for this house. No one even knows why it was taken. The homeowners thankfully were not home at the time.
All I can picture is that there's now a new market of house chop shops. Hey, I got a pair of windows for you.
Act now, I'll throw in the kitchen sink.
Why are these chop shop guys Canadian?
I don't know.
If they were Canadian, it was just, hey, I got me a couple scoops. You want to buy one? I'll take a couple Molson off you for a good house. Let me see. As we know, Leonard Nimoy passed away not too long ago. He was laid to rest recently. He was laid to rest on Sunday in a private Jewish ceremony last week. I didn't know he was Jewish.
I didn't either.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I kind of figured when they said that, according to his religion, he needed to be buried within 24 hours, but...
I didn't know anything
that's right, because that's why Shatner couldn't make the funeral, because he was doing charity work in Florida at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So he flew in the same day, but missed the ceremony.
Well, he had to, because people were giving him shit online about not being able to attend, even though he kept saying, I have a charity event that I scheduled
way in advance,
ago.
yeah.
I don't know why you give a guy shit when his gig wasn't just, I'm getting money to do X, Y, and Z. It was, I'm going to a charity event. Right? I don't get that myself. But here's the weird part about this. When they announced that Leonard Nimoy was being put to rest, the Westboro Baptist Church decided to picket Nimoy's service.
They're sold tickets?
Because Leonard... No,
they wanted to picket his funeral, of all things.
They wanted to claim that he died as the will of God due to his support of gay and lesbian rights movements.
Some people make me sick.
I know, they're complete artards. There's no way around that.
They're zealots. It's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Here's the fun part of the story, though. They didn't end up picketing the service because they couldn't figure out where it was being held.
Right.
You don't know if you actually cut with the times and actually turn on the computer.
Well, no, that was the thing. It was a private service. They didn't post where it was. Westboro decided to announce that they were going to picket him because of his support of gay rights, except for the fact that they didn't realize when they announced they were going to do this that it was a private ceremony and nobody was sharing the fucking location.
Well, good for them.
So did he get all those signs prepped and ready to go and say, where the fuck are we going?
Hey guys, should we stop and ask for directions?
Let's ask these nice gentlemen in the white hoods burning a cross. They seem like our folk. Also, this actually threw me sideways when I read this. There was a story on Yahoo Travel rating the world's sexiest accents, the 10 sexiest accents. Okay?
Okay.
What do people find really alluring when they're sitting there talking to a person? From worst to best on this list of 10 best. Number 10 was Scandinavian. Number 9, Latin American. Number 8, Scottish. Number 7, Spanish. Number 6, Italiano. Number 5 was French. Number 4 was Australian. 3 was Irish.
I could see it.
Yeah, want to guess what listed as the sexiest accent for people to listen to?
American?
I'm going to say Swedish.
I was going to say Russian.
British?
It's actually the British.
British?
Jesse's got it.
British. Yeah, British. I should have said British.
Apparently extremely alluring to sit and listen to, and I've talked to a couple. They can be fun. What really surprised me, though, and what turned this into a WTF for me, was that number 2 on the list is American.
Yeah, a lot of other countries. I have a few friends from. I have a friend from Adelaide who says he likes American accents.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think part of it is we're American. We don't have accents. But that's not how everybody else sees it.
Well, I understand that everybody else sees American as a very peculiar accent and dialect, but considering our reputation in the world, I wouldn't have considered that our accent is sexy so much as it's, oh, that's cute, in a sort of white helmet sort of way.
Well, because they don't necessarily like us doesn't mean they don't like our sound.
That could have gone a lot worse, V.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it also, to me, is which accent? I mean, we've got accents even in the U.S. compared to each other. You know? So it's like...
there's probably half a dozen
do they like the California dude? Or do they like the Southern drawl? Or do they like the...
The Southern drawl has, like, dozen different dialects, too. Shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. We could debate this for hours,
yeah.
Honestly.
It's just...
New York's probably got 3.
Well, yeah, they got Bronx, they got New York, and then they got... No, I can't think of the third one.
Maybe Townies.
Maybe.
Let's see. We have a serious WTF here. There was a woman who was busted driving drunk.
Uh-huh.
Good.
She was busted driving drunk because she was leaving a party rather upset. they wouldn't let her into an orgy she was invited to.
Okay.
Say
Yeah, I'm
what
gonna
now?
This woman was apparently invited to a sex party. She was invited to an orgy. You can take a look at that picture because I wouldn't want that anywhere near my junk.
Yeah.
This was happening in Washington, Pennsylvania. Now, hang on here because this gets deeper. Police officers were called about 1 a.m. Tuesday morning to reports of a fight at an apartment. Now, this lady is 34 years old. Her name is Heather Young. She appeared to be drunk and shouting in the hallway. A man at the residence told police that Young had driven there to have sex with 3 other people. Okay? An argument broke out when another woman got angry that Young was undressing in front of her son.
Oh.
Okay.
Heather Young brought her son to an orgy because she couldn't find a sitter.
How old is her son?
They're not saying, they're not releasing his name. They're only saying that the child was released to the father's custody.
This is a serious facepalm moment.
Yes.
But I don't want to make that much noise. It's just... Wow.
Done.
Now, I could be reading this wrong, and she could have been undressing in front of this other lady's son, but either way, who brings a kid to a goddamn sex party?
Apparently she does.
If you were invited to one, odds are you'll be invited to another. Keep it in your pants and send the kid to bed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it also says something about, the fact that she then drove off and she was, extremely drunk. And it's like, so you were too drunk to have sex with. That kind of says something, too.
Well, she also kicked and spat at police officers, so she didn't help her case at all when she was arrested.
No.
What are your guys' opinions on gay rights?
I think that all people should have rights equally, and that sexuality should be immaterial to the matter.
Yep.
Yes.
Sounds about right.
Okay. There's a Christian activist who is a Christian activist in California. He paid $200 to file a ballot initiative that, if passed, would mandate all gay people to die by firing squad.
You can go first.
Yeah? Oh my god.
I shit you not. This man, his name is Matt McLaughlin. He paid $200 to file this ballot initiative with the Attorney General in Sacramento that he labeled the Sodomite Suppression Act. Okay? McLaughlin calls homosexual sex buggery and sodomy, labels it a monstrous evil that Almighty God, giver of freedom and liberty, commands us to suppress on pain of our utter destruction, even as he overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And he says it is better that non-gay Californians kill the gays rather than have to suffer God's punishment.
Yeah.
I don't say there's a special place in hell for this guy, but I don't know.
I hope so.
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that the Westboro Church has a place for him.
Well, as a member of the Church of Dudism, this is most undude.
Indeed.
I'll just do $100, so.
Now he filed $200 to get the motion on the ballot, which it is. But to get it put up for a vote, he has to get 365 legitimate California residents to sign up to support the Sodomite Suppression Act.
There are enough zealots out there for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's enough people like north of Bakersfield, I think, that are just weird enough to do this.
Dude, there's people all over the place in California. Don't just limit it to one area.
I'm not saying one area, but I mean, it's a lot of red state style territory up there.
Yeah, even still. I'm sure that there's enough people in LA, there's enough people in Sacramento, there's enough people in San Francisco who would be perfectly willing to sign that.
According to the new civilrightsmovement.com, they're guessing that this McLaughlin cat is the same one who filed in a 2004 attempt to get the Bible in curriculum studies in public schools.
Oh. Okay.
So, let's see. I have an unusual photo for you.
Oh boy.
Thankfully, it's not a child at a sex party.
Well, but that's good, because that would be illegal.
It's a photo that someone took by happenstance. A couple was walking through a wooded area when they noticed a woodpecker that seemed to be making unusual noises and hopping around like its feet were touching something hot.
Mm-hmm.
As it flew by, they snapped a photo, and when they took a good look, they saw this.
There's a chipmunk on this thing.
That's not a chipmunk.
What is that?
That is, according to people who have gone over the picture, a baby weasel.
A baby weasel is on top. What? What?
It's a hilarious photo that you wouldn't expect to see in the wild. But put in perspective, weasels eat birds.
Yeah.
The assumption is that the baby weasel got hungry and attacked the bird, and the bird's just going, fuck, get it off, 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 get it off.
That's awesome.
But that's one of those photos you would never expect to take, like, ever. You know, and look at the bird's eyes. It even looks like it's just in half a panic.
Yeah.
This also looks like the worst Banjo-Kazooie remake I've ever seen. Last bit I've gotten the what the fuck news is in the same vein as Steve's story about the house. Raleigh, North Carolina. Shortly after dusk, in approximately March 1st, an armored truck was hijacked. The 2 guards were tied up, and thieves disappeared into the night with 275 pounds of gold bars.
Oh, wow.
Ooh. Where's?
It's a heist worth approximately $4.8 million. This happened in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Wow.
Now, the whole thing gets kind of sticky. Around 6:30 p.m. on Sunday, the armored truck started to have mechanical problems. The guards told police they were surprised by 3 armed men driving a white van who ordered the guards to lie down on the ground, tied their hands behind their backs, and then marched them to the nearby woods. Then the robbers helped themselves to barrels filled with $4.8 million in gold before making their getaway. This sounds way too concerted to be coincidental. 3 guys in a white van, armed, drive up the same time this thing has mechanical trouble.
Yeah.
You know, the implications are of an inside job.
Yeah.
At this time, they're working with authorities to try and resolve the matter, and they're offering a $50,000 reward for any information leading to the arrest of the criminals. That's freaky. And here's the other thing about this. This happened at 6:30 in the evening, right? It's still winter, so it would have been night by this time. It happened on Interstate 95, which is one of the busiest roads on the East Coast, but they chose a rural stretch. The rural stretch where the robbery occurred, I should say, is relatively isolated, bordered by trees and farms. The whole thing is way too perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to start staring at everybody in that company. Somebody had to have been paid off to have things work out this well.
Look at the garage first.
Yeah. I mean, the company that was robbed isn't going to lose anything because the company insures its shipments for up to $100 million. They're taken care of, but still. Too many coincidences all at once.
Yeah.
Okay, from there we'll just move into our conversation of the week. We checked out the first few episodes of the web series Ruby from Rooster Teeth and Montyoum Productions. Steve brought up Montyoum last week because, as it's known, Montyoum unfortunately died young. I
33.
forget what he died.
33.
Yeah, I forget what exactly he died of. Anybody remember?
Complications of a
surgery.
Surgery.
Okay, so it was a complete accident. Prior to Ruby, he had worked on several independent projects, just his own videos, including Haloid, the Dead Fantasy series, which crossed over Dead or Alive and Final Fantasy, the most unlikely terms I'd ever seen. And he'd done a lot of other independent videos before being picked. And he didn't even finish Dead Fantasy before he was picked up by Rooster Teeth to produce an original series he'd already been writing.
Yeah. Well, I think they also used him to help out their Red vs. Blue series as a fight choreographer.
He was definitely used in a couple episodes I could think of. Now, I even saw somebody recently try and pass off the trailer as Ruby as some kind of school project he was supposedly doing on Facebook. It only took about 5 minutes before that bastard was called out.
Yeah.
So, what are your initial impressions on... Well, I guess I should start by saying Ruby is an original story about younger students who are invited to a school that teaches them how to expand what is, for lack of a better term, weapon skills and magic skills. And their primary purpose is to defend people against criminals and monsters that occasionally invade the populated areas of this world.
Yeah, the world that they're living on in and of itself produces monsters that are hostile to humanity.
Yeah. Or Tea Partiers, depending on how you look at it.
I don't think tea partiers would survive very long in this world.
Okay, I could have said Palins, but I thought I'd be a little more general than that. What were your initial opinions on this?
It feels like
pretty.
very typical basic anime.
Yeah, I don't think that the whole premise is necessarily original or unique, but I'm very entertained watching it.
Yeah, I'm definitely entertained too.
I wasn't able to really follow the plot very well per se, but
I don't
like
think the plot really
that were
picked up in the
happening.
first 5 episodes.
Yeah, the things that were happening were somehow visually interesting. I'm not really sure why.
I have watched the entire first season. I haven't gotten around to the second season yet, and I will say that the series is light on plot through the first season. Most of the videos seem to revolve around the various character interactions more than it does advancing a central storyline.
Yeah,
so
it
basically
really
a lot
picks
of
up in the
slice of life stuff.
Yeah. Although slice of life is kind of arguable when you have a series whose slice of life is much different than anything I can relate to.
Yeah, I like the weapon designs, and of course, being that it's Montyoum, the fight choreography is
awesome,
ridiculous. But I'm not an overall fan of the art. I don't know if it's definitely a departure from what he did on his own. And I have a feeling that has a little bit to do with the fact that it is a series, and they needed to pump these out in a timely manner compared to, he could spend really kind of however long you wanted to doing the Dead Alive or the Dead Fantasy stuff.
I think there was a couple other things going on there, because first of all, these were all original designs. Unlike Dead Fantasy and Haloid, he had nothing to work with prior.
Yeah,
true.
So I don't know how well he ever did on character design. And as far as the first series being kind of not threadbare, but the production wasn't as great as other things that have been done, I was kind of willing to give it a pass in that respect, simply because I remember when Rooster Teeth started with Red versus Blue.
Oh, yeah.
And how rough that was compared to what it turned into.
Well, to be honest, that started off, basically with them just recording from an Xbox.
I know.
So, yeah, I know that Rooster Teeth is still probably can't afford the same kind of hardware and everything that an actual production studio could afford.
Yeah, but even when they got the dev kits and everything, there was still a long period where Rooster Teeth didn't produce anything with faces to a regular degree. Ruby was probably the first series where you were constantly staring at character faces for once.
Yeah, now, and don't get me wrong, I like the character designs. I just thought the overall art was less impressive than Dead Fantasy.
Yeah, you're arguing production instead of just whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
The character models were stiff, I will say that.
Yeah, it's mainly the movement that I see sometimes, and not necessarily the fight scenes, but just especially in the second season, there was one particular point where Weiss, one of the characters that you follow, is walking through a room in going up to a tower, and her hands are totally passing through her skirt, and it's totally passing through her sword, and I'm just like, maybe they could have done that a little bit better. I mean, I don't know. I'm not very familiar with the program that they were using. They were advertising at the end of every episode when I was watching it on YouTube. But well,
that's not a technical error so much as a directing error. Somebody should have caught that.
Yeah, or it may not have been something that the program could handle. As you said, the movements and everything are a bit stiff. So I'm unsure if that's.
I think it might have to do with the rig for all the characters, so it doesn't allow for the kind of movement we're familiar with.
At least in the series, they all have fingers. Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like it was easy for me to tell what was going on. Like I've had issues with some other animated shows where things happen too quickly, and I just don't follow what just happened.
Well, we're kind of criticizing the series not because it was technically poorly written, but the storyline does take a very slow burn.
Yeah, well, like I said, it seems
to be more
that
character drama at the moment.
Right.
Yeah, like
it's kind of
slice of
introducing the
life.
characters, getting things situated so that you know how this person acts, so on and so forth. Going beyond just the 5 episodes, we get some character information about Blake and some character information about Jean that, fleshes out their characters. But yeah, it was kind of, I think, just an introduction to the characters the first season. The second season, the story does pick up.
I may have to check that out, but it's still kind of hard getting past my my lack of motivation.
I enjoyed it enough that I was like, what, 5 episodes? No, we're going to just keep watching.
Yeah, I think I'm going to continue as well.
V, what did you think of the characters?
Well, it was kind of hard to get into them a little bit, but I kind of liked Ruby. She was awkward but interesting. The blonde guy was amusing, at least in that last episode. I didn't catch any of their names, but
he totally reminds me of another character from another series, and that was Ron Stoppable from Kim Possible.
I haven't watched that in the least, so I couldn't even begin to talk about that.
That was one that Jesse introduced me to, and I have to say that was a really good series.
It's one of those things where I like storyline and I like character development. So the beginning of it, I was pretty worried because what did we have was a lot of, type B anime stereotypes.
Right.
We have the perky one, we have the stuffed up one, we have the capable one, or the happy-go-lucky one, and then we have Raven from Teen Titans.
Her voice really reminds me of that character too.
So they don't shift a whole lot during the entirety of the first season, from what I can remember. They stay very much in these specific archetypes.
Yeah.
So it became a little hard for me to deal with in that respect.
The thing that worries me is that going through the credits, I realized that one of the students was actually voiced by Montyoum.
Which one?
Two
Dagger.
guns.
Yeah.
Gun daggers.
The one that was fighting the snakes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Beilong, I think, something like that. But yeah, that character was actually voiced by Montyoum.
A talented character actor could probably get past that, though.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but I think Weiss's voice actress might have changed at some point.
That wouldn't surprise me in the least, considering how some of it went, but I couldn't even say. I don't know. I know that 5 episodes of the series isn't much, but I didn't want to just overload everybody with stuff. And like I said, I watched the first season because I'm an anime fan, and Montyoum, I was a fan of his name going in. Although I wouldn't call this his best project. Dead Fantasy to me was more entertaining as a whole.
Yeah, I don't know. Dead Fantasy was severely lacking in story. It was getting there, and
it was just starting to develop a story when it got picked up to do other stuff.
Exactly, but I don't know. I don't know. I like Ruby. I was not as entranced by the art style, but the character designs were,
there was something about it that was interesting to me. I had to catch up while we were on the podcast because I didn't catch up in time. But
yeah,
you had no internet.
I like their use of color.
Yeah, I like
and
that.
Actually,
I like color.
in the second season, during the school director's speech or whatever, he ends up talking to all of the students, and they basically said that, in a past time, the entire world had been at war, and they were trying to wipe out artistic expression and certain other things. And so the reason why you have so many characters named after colors is that was a form of rebellion against this idea. So color kind of plays a big role in the series intentionally.
That's cool. I like that.
I've been trying to think of how best to summarize a series in few words that would be easy for certain people to process. And for some reason, I came up with the idea that this is like Harry Potter with more kung fu.
It actually kind of reminds me of actually Final Fantasy VIII with the school setup and fighting.
The school setup, the interesting weapons. That was one of the things that I liked, was how all the weapons had both a close combat and a ranged combat.
Yeah, that's a cool concept.
Yeah.
Oh,
any favorite characters throughout?
Currently I'm leaning toward what's her name? Yang and Pyrrha is characters I'm kind of interested in.
I would have to say that my two characters that I'm more interested in is Valentine. I think is Lisa Valentine, the perky, happy-go-lucky one. Just because I like the idea that she's got this grenade launcher that turns into a hammer. That was an awesome weapon combination to me. And John, I don't know. I like the quirky, doesn't quite know what he's doing, but growing up into his role type character.
Oh, Steve, and as for Wes, there was, for one episode, she was voiced by a different voice actress.
Okay. But only for one episode.
For one episode.
Interesting. Okay.
See, we're finding out new stuff all the time. I did like the character of Ruby most in the series. I thought she was interesting, however, needed a lot of character development.
Yeah.
She's definitely at a starting point that I can see is very well entrenched in anime cliches. I want to know if she can move out of that.
I think she's making progress in that direction. Her interactions with Jean kind of help both of them.
So, I don't know. It's just a personal feeling. I couldn't say, I can't speak for other people.
Right.
I did see the bones of a great show. I hadn't seen it progress into one yet. And I am a little worried about what's going to happen to it, because while they have everything in place to continue the story, I just don't know if anybody will be able to continue the story. This was Montyoum's thing, as far as I know.
Yeah, no, he was the creator of the series, and he was the main director, although there was an assistant director. But his name is pretty much on every single page of the credits. He was performing multiple roles, so I don't know. Especially, he was very involved in the project. I don't know. I hope it'll continue, but at the same time, will it be the same show without him? I don't know.
Well, is it something you guys? Well, we got Steve's answer. Jesse, V, is it something you continue to watch?
Oh yeah,
I'd
definitely.
actually watch it. If nothing else, because I was in the middle of like that scene. I kind of want to finish that scene.
Well, at least it's a series. One of the few anime style series I could think of that I could actually reference to people young and old. I will say that there's no real gratuitous sex. There's no high violence in it. It's something you can pass to a lot of different types of fans.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's, depending on who you ask, what aspect of it is thumbs up and thumbs down in different respects, but it's at least watchable.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Next week, there isn't a reading assignment. We have a guest next week.
Who?
We are coming up with the writer of an independent comic series called Notes. He's the writer and creator of it. He's agreed to come on the show and explain his series to us.
Cool.
So we're going to have something new coming on pretty soon. I look forward to it because, frankly, we haven't done a lot of independent stuff on the show, and this will be a good chance to delve into that a little further.
Definitely.
All right. So anything else you want to get off your chest before we go?
No.
Nope.
All right, cool. We're done. Thank you very much. I invite you to roll with us again next week. I want you to have a great weekend. I am Jeremy.
Steve.
Jesse.
And V.
Don't drink and drive. Have a good one.
I don't care anymore.